Yes. I wonder if my cat came on the mic just now. Did you come up? Yes, I'm JD. This is the Retrocast, brought to you by the Red Leaf Retrocast, my little network of all things nerd. This is wrestling from around the world every 2 weeks. Yes, indeed, this is titled Dominion Fighter Cup, episode 61. Getting closer to that number 75. I like those 25 numbered intervals. If you want to check out more Red Leaf Retrocast products and podcast episodes, you may head out over to the YouTube channel Red Leaf Retrocast. If you want more wrestling type stuff, we're also on the SOS Wrestling Network. Good man LK over there runs that. He does a lot of post-show reviews, lots of Puro, mostly. I quite recommend if you want on the Cup Opinions over there. I quite liked his DDT stuff. That's what I've been listening. I've gone out of my way to listen to that as soon as I can. Each time he does those. Also, big news over on Wrestling News World. If you want to check out my written reviews over the retro wrestling that I cover audio-wise on this podcast, you can go read up on everything I've written over on WrestlingNewsWorld.com, where they also have a lot of up-to-date news from around the wrestling world. A lot of North American wrestling, mostly. They do keep up on some of the latest New Japan stuff, among other things. I've been keeping track of their little women's wrestling rankings. You know me, I like my rankings that I do over at the Red Leaf Retrocast.blogspot.com, where you can see all the wrestling rankings that we cover every 2 weeks with a large ranking tables. And I also do a nice little written breakdown lately on my little blog spot there, redleafretrocast.blogspot.com. So, housekeeping out of the way. But yes, go check out SOS Wrestling Network and my written stuff, Wrestling News World. Leave me a review on iTunes, damn it. This is Dominion Fighter Cup. Let's get started with the recommended matches from the Outside Promotions. This is my new little thing of, well, it's not new anymore, but it's my new little thing I do at the start of every episode. This episode, whoa, kitty cat. Of course, every podcast. Come on, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I got All Japan Pro Wrestling to talk about. Back a couple weeks ago, they had an event called the Triple Crown of Wilderness over on June 30th. Watched the whole show. It was an enjoyable show. However, the last 3 matches were highlighted, and the reason why I checked the show out was because of the Wrestle One faction that my suplex man, Shotaro Ashino, is leading, and he's going for the Triple Crown in the show, so I had to check this out. So the last 3 were all members of his little Wrestle One faction, all going for big singles matches. Yusuke Kodama, I'm a big Kodama fan, I do like him. He was going for the junior heavyweight title and number 1 contendership match. And then Kumarashi, more or less a fan of him, less so than Kodama. He was going up against the big sexy man Jake Lee. Not a fan of him, but we can all admit he is big and sexy. Oh, thank you, Cat, for not jumping from the table this time, as he goes to check out the window outside. And then, of course, Suwama defending the Triple Crown title. The best-looking title in wrestling today, I believe. Yeah, I'd put it above AEW's Big Platinum. So, Kodama loses off a judo throw, and Kumarashi loses off a backdrop. Very strange finishes. The matches were short and quick, and very easy to watch, I would say. And then in the Triple Crown title match, Suwama defeats Shotaro Ashino in 27 minutes, 59 seconds. Not a short match by any means, but it didn't overstay its welcome. It was very easy to watch. I was a big fan of the Ashino heel locks he was using. if you don't remember your history or you don't know, Suwama suffered a heavy, real bad Achilles injury years ago, and many thought he wasn't going to return. Achilles injuries are very devastating, to say the least. So this was a big point of the match, and Suwama just really, he showed up to fucking work, this man. He was matching Shotaro Ashino with his suplexes. He was getting out of those heel holds quite well. Ashino was on his game. I've seen him do better in some of his bigger Wrestle 1 matches, mostly because he was the one leading, he was the highlight, he was the star. My issue with this match was obviously not enough suplexes. If this was a Suplex Bukkake podcast, I might bust out the sock for this one. There was no less than 13 in this one. No more than probably 16 if I missed a couple. But I was disappointed in the suplex count. Suwama matched him, and that was another aspect of the story. Suwama was the big powerhouse machine. He was just killing this dude. The finish was ever so, what's the word I'm looking for? Confident in beating Ashino, which I don't agree with. I thought they could have made this a little bit more competitive at the end, rather than Suwama just pummeling this poor man. The size differential is very noticeable. It doesn't ever bother me in size, just for the sake of people that do care about those things. Ashino is not as big as Suwama. I know, shocking. So yes, 27 minutes, 59 seconds, Suwama just pummels the dude into the ground and pins him, and all of the Wrestle 1 faction guys, the new guys on the rise in All Japan Pro Wrestling, a huge injection into their system, in more ways than one, all lose on the same night, and that really put a damper on me wanting to continue to really see where this is going. And I guess the idea is, and this is just loosely as a casual All Japan check-in kind of guy, seems to me they're trying to build, I guess, an Ashino and Kento Miyahara chase, and perhaps we can still get that Kento Ashino, maybe a number 1 contenders match for a big show later in 2020 as fans continue to come back for All Japan Pro Wrestling. Then the other question I was asking was, fans are back, and they were set to be back the next week. Why, oh why, did All Japan do a heavy, possibly money-drawing match without fans, when they could have just waited a week? A month? Maybe build up Ashino more with something to do in between, beating some guys, and then do a bigger money-drawing match? It's very baffling. I'm very confused. But if this was the ultimate goal of the match that they had in mind, and to put down the faction the way they did, it's very baffling to me. So, but nonetheless, this was an A-type match. I'm a huge fan of it. I don't think it's better than the Suwama Miyahara match from earlier in the year, but this is one to go check out, especially if you're a fan of kind of a more technical game, being matched with suplexes. This is right up my alley. So I do recommend the match as a whole, just not the bigger picture I was a huge fan of. So, to break down the rest of this podcast episode, we got AEW Fyter Fest covering with my mom. We get all of our nice little thoughts out on that one. That lasts for about 45 minutes, I believe, as I have it recorded already. That continues the Ocean War with the DDT show. Does that DDT show? They're building towards their big Cork and Hall show later in July here. No, kitty. I'm breaking down the card here. Can they live up to the Fyter Fest cards? That's a big thing to ask for this Ocean War. We'll see my thoughts at the end of that one. Still no indie wrestling. That might be tough for the remainder of 2020, all things considered. Although Beyond Wrestling did announce they're going to be running a show on short notice. I believe that's even the title of the show they're doing in Atlantic City, coming up here in a couple weeks. Might check it out, might not. All depends on my time. Ghost of Tsushima is coming out Friday, and I still am heavy into Desperados 3. which I covered on the latest Modern Gamecast. You can go check that out. I highly recommend listening to my Desperado 3 thoughts. The Joshi War continues on. It rages on. The SeaDlinnng lead-up is going to be in that little section because I'm joined by one retired podcaster, big pause and up. That's no particular angle. JPQ, my main man over there. He's joining me to talk all things women wrestling. The Joshi War rages on. We talk Stardom. We talk Ice Ribbon. Go check us out there. We got 1049 and then the Stardom Shinkiba shows from over the weekend, July 11th and 12th, to talk about. Lots to break into there. I believe that came in at just over an hour. And then that goes into the Puroresu War, highlighted by Dragon Gate, getting ready for their own big shows coming up. The build towards the Naruki Doi Dream Gate title defense against the King of Gate winner Eita rages on. So we got to see where the Twin Gate titles go, what Kaito Ishida and his Brave Gate title are going next. Rivalries are building. It seems Dragon Gate's getting back on track. They did have fans for that show. We round out the Puroresu War with New Japan Pro Wrestling as they finished out the New Japan Cup. And Dominion, headlined by the double title match of Naito defending against the New Japan Cup winner. Stay tuned for that one. And of course, as we do, we end our podcast by going into the retro wrestling section. All Japan Women Classics, episode 24. Double retirement match there. New Japan through the 90s. I got a certain 5-star match to talk about on that section as we head into 1992 here. And then November 30th, 1998 episode of WCW Nitro for All Our Hearts and My Poor Soul review. So yes, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this podcast. It's episode 61, Dominion Fyter Cup. Let's get this thing on. Hey, we're back for this episode 61, talking AEW, and just worked out this way. Fyter Fest, both nights.
Pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome, Mom. A rousing success, I would say, in many ways. The ratings, people have a lot of thoughts over those. And I would do a deep dive.
Apparently it's become a thing now.
Well, of course it's a thing. It's how they make all their money and stay on TV and be able to pay their wrestlers.
No, now there's a other thing that's going on with ratings and against WWE and AEW.
You want to drop your knowledge on me?
No, that's okay.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
Nah.
Fyter Fest Day 1, July 1st. Dynamite episode 39. Fyter Fest Day 2, July 8th. Dynamite episode 40. And for the record, yes, AEW lost total viewers both nights, but they won the 18-49 demo, the money demo. As much as people don't want to admit it, that is quite important these days. That is why The Challenge on MTV is the #1 rated show right now, because the 18-49 demo is like 60% of their audience.
Wow.
Yeah. We get like a 0.5 rating out of their 900,000 people that watch it or something. It's pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah, I listened to a big podcast over television ratings, how much they actually matter, and how much each demo matters. And
oh, okay. So
yeah.
You educated yourself a little more?
I educated myself a little more on that. And there was a great example of, like, if SpongeBob on Nickelodeon... No, this is serious.
Okay, I'm seriously laughing.
So advertisers look at your product you're pumping out, in this case SpongeBob, right?
Yeah.
And they want to put out kids products with SpongeBob. That is what that's what they want to advertise to their core audience.
Right, the demographics, yep.
Right. And if SpongeBob is not getting the 12 to 25-year-old demographic, then they are failing the advertisers. Therefore, they're failing their key demo. Okay?
Sure.
Because if it was, let's say that instead its core audience that was watching SpongeBob was 50-plus-year-old women, they're not going to buy probably those products that are being advertised during that time, nor watch the other shows on the network that they were plugging. So that's where a lot of that came in. So with wrestling, why that matters, the 18 to 49 is the prime demo that will not only watch other network shows on the channel, but will also spend money on the product. Okay? And if you're not pulling in your key demographic, then you're not going to make money, and you're not going to be profitable to stay on TV. And therefore, the whole promotion fails.
Yeah, so that's what ratings is all about.
Yeah, and that's what it's all
all
about.
about money. When it comes down to, are you telling me it's all about money?
It is all about money. And so for AEW, with their expectations of what TNT pays them, it's extremely successful in getting top 10 ratings. Week in and week out is a big success for them, as well as
especially during this time. Yes,
and there was actually, and I was doing a little more research on. So I'm watching Snowpiercer, another show on TNT. It's their big show. They pumped a lot of money into it. Now I wasn't able to confirm how much money they pumped into it, but my understanding with as little data I was able to rummage up is TNT pays the people of Snowpiercer more money to produce that show than what they do to pay AEW.
Oh, wow.
And Snowpiercer isn't getting the best ratings. So for AEW to
Is it a sci-fi type of show or what?
Yeah, it's a sci-fi kind of post-apocalyptic world show. I quite enjoy it.
Perfect timing.
Yes, exactly, right? I quite enjoy it. But that's a little perspective on what a channel will expect out of their viewers, how much money they pump into the product, and then what they expect based on that money they pumped in. Now, over time, of course, you expect growth. You don't expect decreasing, etc., etc. So, just for example, WWE on Fox, aka SmackDown, has like $1 billion television deal, and their expectations were a 1 in the 18 to 49 demo, and currently WWE is getting half or less than half of that demo, and they were expecting 3.5.
Well, and the other thing that also is part of that is the time in which things are shown, and so the thought is that if your show gets put on Fridays, you can say goodnight to that show. Once it goes to a Friday viewing, that's the end of that show.
Supposedly, but regardless, the expectations for in this example WWE was they were hoping for like 3 million, 3.5, maybe even 4 million people a week, a 1 in the 18 to 49 demo, and they're getting 1.9 million, 0.4 to 0.5 in the demo. It's horrid numbers for what Fox is paying them. So you bet your ass they're not happy with that. Oh yeah, Fox is losing a lot of money.
Because they're losing money. Yeah, they're losing. So your viewership, if you don't have the viewership, that means that your numbers are going down for that. Plus, you're losing viewership, you're losing money, product-wise, and they're switching over to another show. AEW.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. So WWE did a lot of counter-programming for Fyter Fest with their totally not coincidental Great American Bash that wasn't built on weeks. And this is interesting. So for AEW, they had their main event pushed back due to the coronavirus, and Jon Moxley's wife, who works for WWE, his wife contracted it, so he's been in quarantine. And so that match was pushed back a week, and that led into a little angle that they played here for AEW, which we'll talk about. And I'll run down the results of the card in a second, because I did a little bit more research. A lot of people seem to like my in-ring minutes little thing that I've been doing. And Raw the past couple weeks, I didn't do SmackDown because I don't care that much. But NXT running limited commercials and having a similar kind of big built show to counter program. They were neck and neck in minutes with AEW. 68, 70. They ran over 70 minutes of wrestling, which is very unlike WWE and NXT. Yes.
Whoa.
On Fyter Fest Day 1, Great American Bash Day 1, they actually had more in-ring minutes, and you can attribute that to the less commercials that they put on the show. Okay? Now, for Night 2 and Raw's actually pumping about around 70 minutes as well. So they were all in conjunction with each other. Why I found this interesting was Raw's ratings are depleting, like at a steady rate. They're getting the lowest ratings ever, okay, in the history of the show. And if you recall, just a month ago, they were having like 31, 32 minutes of wrestling in total on a 3-hour show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, they then put out...
You think they're listening to you?
Oh, right.
I think they're listening to something.
So now they're trying...
Somebody's listening.
Yeah, now they're gearing up for their next little network special. I won't say pay-per-view because that's not what they do. They do network specials. And over the past couple weeks, they've had more in-ring wrestling because of the coronavirus outbreak that's going on with them, and they have limited staff and limited wrestlers. So they're actually
there you go.
So they're actually putting people in the ring longer because they can't do as many segments without all the personnel there. So I found that quite fascinating. Their kind of backup plan is, well, I guess we're gonna have wrestling on a wrestling show. Just quite ironic in the end.
Right, but then you know what's going to happen because it'll fall right back into its usual of 3 hours of the show with 30 minutes total time of wrestling.
Well, I mean, even despite all that and my correlation to that, they they still have an hour longer programming than NXT and AEW, and they still match them in ring wrestling. So that's kind of funny in itself. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, a lot of DQ finishes and whatnot. Ratings are going down. And then NXT, the biggest story I feel, or one of the biggest, is the main event of Night 2 was Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. And an arguably very curious result was, how was that going to live up to and go up against NXT's big event, their double title match. Basically the biggest match NXT WWE could possibly put on. And what ended up happening was old people tuned into droves that drove up their ratings, but their 18 to 49 rating went nowhere. It actually lost viewers, if I remember what I read correctly. Meanwhile, in AEW, they lost a lot of those 50 plus viewers, so old people probably changed the channel or just turned off. And the 18 to 49 actually increased for AEW. It wasn't substantial, but what that tells me is something's clicking with a younger audience with AEW. Is it clicking at a rate that we can say we're seeing growth? Maybe. It's still kind of too early to tell. We're only 9 months into the promotion still. Coronavirus is kind of holding a lot of things back. Right. In my case. But one of the big takeaways from that is they didn't lose viewers, Mom. Which means Orange Cassidy's a made man. Now they can stick him in the main event going forward. They've made another main eventer on this day.
Right. And only because the opportunity came and it ended up working out well for him.
Well, also it was a slow built program, built over months and a week. Right after Double or Nothing is kind of when it started with the whole Tyson angle, and then it ran into Orange Cassidy, and yes, the very fascinating was just a few weeks ago was that Go Home segment where Jericho and Cassidy brawled, and that ended up being the lowest segment in AEW history. But for the viewers that paid attention, they got a big payoff in the end with that. So I've seen this in wrestling studies. It's you sacrifice kind of viewership for the build to have your build, and it's a long-term goal in the end. And it seems like that succeeded. It was bad for that 1 week, but it looks like going forward, Orange Cassidy is going to be a big player, despite losing on this night. And
so are you gonna do both cards?
Yes. So let me run down the cards here. Fyter Fest Day 1, Dynamite 39. We got Jurassic Express. That's the team of Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus defeat MJF and Wardlow 11 minutes 2 seconds after MJF accidentally clocks his tag partner with the diamond ring. Hikaru Shida retained her women's title versus Penelope Ford, 11-18. Good match, I would say.
Wow.
Leaps and bounds better than expected. Cody defeats Jake Hager, retains the TNT title in a 14-minute, 15-second match off a... Cody's passing out to the head and arm choke, manages the last-ditch roll to pin Hager. Post-match, Hager thinks he won like a doof, and he hits the ref, and they suspended him for this egregious offense for basically 10 days.
He went too far.
Private Party, with Matt Hardy as their new manager, defeats the Inner Circle team of Ortiz and Santana, 10-50. It was announced then that they got a tag title shot with this win. So they would face Omega Page on Fight for the Fall on Day 2. And then in the main event, Page and Omega defeated the Best Friends, retain the tag titles against Chuck Taylor and Trent, whom came to the ring driven by Trent's mom in a minivan. Match went 15-20.
Wow.
We'll talk about that because that's one of my takeaways from night one. And then Fyter Fest Night 2, Omega Page defeated Private Party, 10-30. Retained the tag titles there. Lance Archer defeats Joey Janela with Sunny Kiss ringside, 10-35, in a match that also exceeded expectations. 8-man tag match was fucking amazing with the Lucha Bros teaming with Butcher and the Blade. The Lucha Bros pinned, I believe it was Mac Jackson, as the Young Bucks and FTR tagged up. So that went 16-30. Really good match. Taz gives the FTW title to Cage in between all of this, before their title match versus Moxley at Fight for the Fallen. Nyla Rose squashes Kenzie Page and Kylan King, and then she announces she's going to get a manager. So we'll speculate on who that could be.
A secret manager.
It's a secret. Doom Colt Cabana seems prime for the Dark Order as that trios match. They defeated the SCU team in 12-13. The story there was Colt Cabana had a big bruise, ectomorphous or whatever.
It was really bad. That thing was nasty looking.
Big hematoma, ectoplasis, whatever it's called. I'm not a doctor. Sent him out there anyways.
It was ugly.
The big takeaway from the pre-match bruise thing was Brody Lee's like, I don't know who did this or when or how, but this will never happen again. And Colt Cabana goes, yes, Mr. Brody. So he's in.
He's part of the Dark Order.
And then your big main event of night 2, Chris Jericho defeats Orange Cassidy, hits a big Judas effect as he counters Orange Cassidy, going for the big Superman punch, 18-43. And Joey actually had some thoughts. He watched both nights of Fyter Fest. He's not available to record this with us. Yes, he loved all the wrestling. Orange Cassidy is his favorite, and he thought that this should have gone to a time limit draw. TV time limit draw.
Yeah.
That was his takeaway.
And honestly, I think that could be very well be. That should have very well been that. I could see that.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that, but yeah, for sure.
Could have happened. I like the end result regardless.
Yeah. So is he watching AEW now?
He is. Got a new
Is he
fan.
Is he going to join us on Wednesday?
I guess we'll find out, will we?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
So, what do we got? What are your big takeaways from the 2 nights of Fyter Fest here?
Well, my 2 takeaways. I really enjoyed the second day of Fyter Fest over the first day. I just think the energy and everything on day 2 is just one after the other. It just kept, the momentum was rocking and rolling. I just, there's something about the first day. It just, there were some good matches, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the Jurassic Park Jurassic Express against MJF and Wardlow. I enjoyed that match, and I really enjoyed seeing Luchasaurus win that match, because I've been rooting for Luchasaurus for a while, and I'm finally getting to see more from him, which I'm really enjoying. I'd like to see, have I seen Luchasaurus against Archer yet? Have we seen that?
No, they've kind of teased things every now and again with Luchasaurus, just with other big guys in the promotion here.
Yeah, I mean, that one I would find interesting matchup if it ever came. But Luchasaurus really isn't a single wrestler. So that would be interesting. I did like Penelope Ford and Shida. I thought that was a good match for them, and actually seeing Penelope Ford do a little bit more. So that was a good match for her.
Rose to the occasion. Hikaru Shida, Penelope Ford. Almost stole the show. I still think Jurassic Express, MJF Wardlow was the best match of night 1. I gave that one 3.5 stars. I was very much for Omega Page Best Friends being the main event, but they just didn't have enough time to get going. It seemed like it just never got out of gear. Got out of second or third gear.
Yeah, I agree. It was a little bit on the quiet side. Of course, I love the action from Paige, but basically, I wasn't really. It was just quiet on the quiet side.
Yeah, which is a real bummer, because that was probably one of my most anticipated matches of the entire 2 weeks.
Yeah. And I was looking forward to it. Yeah, and it just...
It wasn't bad by any means. It just couldn't get out of gear. Just didn't have the time. So, of course, the Private Party Inner Circle match was probably, AEW likes giving 10 minutes minimum to a lot of their matches.
It's a fair match.
It was fine, but, shave some minutes here or there. Cody Hager, I don't know why it had to go 14 minutes. That was a good match. I was very pleasantly surprised.
It was okay. Yeah. That's okay.
Naturally, being in Cody's fashion, apparently his new shtick is he can escape any situation that it looks like he's about to lose, and he can pin people in many different ways. But
one of my notes for that match was 2 douchebags wrestling.
Well, I remember we were confused upon the finish. Like, I'm a fan of, different sort of thinking out of the box things, but we thought Cody maybe tapped or something, and that's why Hager thought he had won, despite being pinned at the same time. It turns out later when we find out that Cody actually passed out and rolled him up, so Hager thought, hey, ref called for him being passed out. Then they played Cody's music, and Hager still thinks he's won, so Hager kind of came off looking like a dumb shit, but nothing's new there.
Well, see, douchebags, 2 douchebags.
2 douchebags not knowing what's going on.
Exactly.
So, and then,
it kind of worked.
He won nonetheless. He got away with one. That's kind of Cody's thing. He keeps hinting 4 horsemen type stuff. We keep building towards that. It was announced for Fight for the Fallen, Cody will be facing Sonny Kiss in his little open challenge format. Really changing the perception.
Who I would really like to see in a match? Nyla Rose and Sonny Kiss would make a great match up. It would make a great matchup.
Yeah, now that you mention it.
Huh?
Now that you mention
Right?
it.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense to me. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all, seeing those two matching up.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. Picturing it in my head. Okay.
I know, right? But I was thinking about that, of all things, laying in bed last night. I'm like, wonder about Nyla Rose and Sunny Kiss. That would be kind of a interesting combination.
Yeah.
And I'm only 3 for 5 on my first night picks.
For predictions?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was 3 for 6 for day 2, so I suck. I better not do any horse betting or lottery.
Oh boy.
Anything. I'm just not good at it.
Well, Fyter Fest Day 1 was in the Canada Day spirit. I got a kick out of that. Jericho on commentary.
It was great. I love Jericho's outfit, and then MJF with his outfit with, it's too hot to wear that scarf, so he incorporated his scarf into his little pinky getup that he was wearing.
Yeah. So Jericho
Jericho
looking like Don Cherry on commentary with his goofy jacket, and then MJF looking like Rick Martel with his pink tights and everything. That's another Canadian wrestler of the past. So I liked it all.
Yeah.
So a lot of these little things on night 1 all came together for a good show. Taz and his promo on Moxley calling him a chicken shit for staying home doing the coronavirus.
Right? What an ass.
Great stuff. I fucking loved it.
He's an ass.
It played into night 2, which we'll talk about here in a second. With that, I think we got everything we needed with from night 1, but night one was a good success. I know what you mean about the wrestling. Just something seemed a little off.
Yeah,
but they brought their A game the next night for sure.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they pumped it up the second night.
Absolutely. So let me play Kenny Omega's. Let me play Kenny Omega's music, and we can get into night 2 a little bit more betterer. So, all right, tag team title started off the match here. My big takeaway from night 2 was the fucking wrestling was awesome. What a great fucking show.
It was non-stop action fun. Everybody did what they're supposed to do, and then some. Everything.
Like, every single match met or exceeded expectations. Everything had a purpose. Even the Nyla Rose match. Look, Kylan King, she's a tall woman, but there's just something about her that it's like, pay attention to her. She might be something, but Nyla Rose was a good kind of
2
catch your breath.
1. That was pretty fun.
Yeah. Nyla Rose's thing definitely like allowed us to catch our breath to a lot of things, and then pay attention to the story involving Colt Cabana, and then get into that big main event. It's just, I don't know, there was something about the non-stop fast-paced action of that first hour, and then the second hour all building up to the big Jericho Cassidy bonanza at the end. I really liked how the show was put together, but the ratings kind of said it almost skewed to as soon as the 8-man tag kind of was reaching its peak. That's when people started to kind of turn off the show, change the channel, just because I guess it was getting late at night, or they wanted to watch NXT because of their big double title match situation. So maybe in hindsight, they could have fixed this card up a little bit better for a heavier second hour. But for my personal viewing, this was great. I love the jive and flow to all of it. That's my big takeaway, is the wrestling and the flow to it all.
Probably could have flipped the 8-man tag team with Dark Order's 6-man.
I don't know.
Switch it out.
I can't really agree with that one, because then we would have been exhausted from reaching such a high getting into the main event.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're right about that.
Because the way this was put together
I
is
gotcha.
you build something up for the first hour, and then it's almost like you start over to build up that second hour. It's like two separate cards. I see this a lot with European promotions when they put stuff together because they have a big intermission after the first half, right? So they have a what they do is they start out the card the way you would, and it builds up to that like a main event before intermission, and then they kind of hit a reset button. That's what this felt like. This show the night. So
well, I really enjoyed Private Party versus Adam Page and Kenny Omega.
Yeah, they looked great, Page and Omega.
Oh yeah, I mean, Page came out with some serious marks on his chest from last week.
Oh, getting chopped, by the best friends.
Yeah, he had some serious marks on him, but overall it was a great match. And the amount of time, it was pure wrestling. It was just really, really good.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Private Party screaming and squealing. That's got to stop.
Yeah.
That's just, cut that out. But the near falls were fantastic coming off the shooting star, and Omega just getting in. The story that I'm seeing unfold more and more is two things happen in these matches a lot of the times. Omega saves Page from defeat, or Page wins the match by himself, not a tag team maneuver.
Yeah.
I find that very fascinating. I think this is set up for when they finally do lose the titles, Omega's eating that pin, right?
Yep.
And Page is just going to kill him.
Yep.
But I could also see the flip side where Omega just didn't save him that one time, and Omega turns on Page. And that's when you get the and that same, like, this to me, this seems like it's setting up for a big all-out bad guy turn with the Young Bucks losing to FTR kind of situation. Omega loses the same night, and they all turn bad guy together, and then you got, say, like FTR and Page as a team situation.
Yeah,
like,
I think that Adam Page is going to end up with FTR for some reason.
So you're getting that feeling too.
Yeah, because the week before, FTR came out and Page was kind of sneering at Omega, and
that's right. We didn't mention that.
They were protecting Page, and Page is getting his attitude going, and Young Bucks and Omega are on the other side. So I was already seeing something going on with that threesome.
That's right. FTR came out to give him beer, and then Kenny Omega on Canada Day, the Canadian gall on this man, pours the beer out in total disrespect on the floor, creating.
I'm going to have some beer.
This man created slipping hazards.
Omega
he wasted
takes
alcohol.
it, and everyone's going, "Okay, got it." And he pretends he takes a sip of it, and then he dumps it on the side of the ring.
What a douchebag! What a douchebag! So I think we're getting.
He doesn't drink beer. He drinks milk.
Well, okay, that's fine. He doesn't need to pour it on the ground like a dick. Someone could slip on that thing.
Well,
it's a mess. Can't believe.
Well, nobody did.
Well, yeah, thankfully. You don't know what could have happened. That's a lawsuit you're asking for. Speaking of lawsuits, Big Swole was served for kidnapping Britt Baker the week before.
Oh, is that where she was?
Yeah.
Is that why we didn't see Britt last week?
Oh, no. Britt Baker's always there. She's hanging out in her Rolls Royce. But, so Big Swole gets served papers, and her lines were so great. I drove 3 hours for this. Haven't you ever heard of fax machine? Snail mail. Really inspired me to use a fax machine at work now.
Anything?
Fucking great. What'd you think of Big Swole throwing the serve papers after she snuck in? And I thought the paper hit Rebel, and Britt Baker thought she got hit. But apparently, when I rewatched it, what happened was Rebel gets hit with the paper, and she threw her hand back, and her hand hit Britt Baker's nose. So that's what happened there. Upon the rewatch.
Well, and Britt was so dramatic with the screaming.
Oh, well, I mean, her nose was broken. The devastation she must have suffered. The mental
The guy
damage.
comes over to help her, and she kicks him away.
Yeah, with her bad leg, quote unquote. It's great.
Yeah.
She's like shooing him away.
Yeah.
I love Britt Baker. She's the best character. She's one of the best characters in AEW, and she's not even wrestling. It's fantastic. Yeah, her new thing is Friendship Timeout. That's in the community here with the fans of the wrestling show here. Friendship Timeout's my favorite thing in wrestling going on.
Right.
Love it. Anyone who disagrees with my opinions or says something outrageous that makes no sense, you best be careful because you might get put in Friendship Timeout. Yeah.
Friendship Timeout. Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, you're not safe from Friendship Timeout either, Mom. Better be careful with your Riho comments going forward.
Oh, whatever. That is not going to matter to me. I will say what I want. I am free. I'm an American. I can walk around without a mask on. It's because of what I choose to do.
Okay, Miss Political Statement. So you had to rewatch this whole show because you got fucking drunk.
Oh, say, don't tell on me.
I'm telling on you. I
was feeling, no, I did not get drunk. I was having fun.
Okay. Right.
I had a slight headache.
Uh-huh.
At least I had someone to share a bottle of wine with, you know?
You know what? You're right. If you want to be unsafe and break quarantine all the time, go for it. Who am I to talk? I did it on Friday myself. I didn't have a party. I'm sorry, I didn't have a party of 10 or more. Okay.
So I was perfectly safe in my four walls. I
got a nice hipster beer from Alchemist, specifically for Fyter Fest Day 2. And that 8.5% alcohol thing, I was feeling it the next morning.
Oh, shit, that's some powerful beer there.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I had one. And then I had another beer, just a tiny little beer after that. It was a full pint of that stuff, but the second beer was not a pint. But it was certainly enough for me to feel it the next day. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, next time you come down to Texas, so there's a brewery on my way over to my friend Layla's house, and it's called Fallsbrook. And it's actually run, it was created from a gentleman who served for our country, and when he came back, he started this brewery. There was a brewery there, but it didn't. The guy that had it first just didn't seem to take off. So then he sold it to this gentleman, and it's been very successful. I really like it. So that's where I went last night and had my my dark beer that I like, that actually has 7% alcohol.
You're definitely feeling that one.
And I wasn't driving, so I was safe because I drank so I was with Amanda yesterday, and she had her hair done yesterday, and so we had a bottle of wine, a vodka elderberry drink, which filled up the glass of wine, and then we went to the brewery. So I was feeling no pain at the end of the night.
Feeling no pain.
Feeling no pain at the end of the night.
Well, speaking of feeling no pain.
For dinner.
So feeling no pain.
Feeling no pain.
How about that 8-man tag?
I liked it. Really, actually, they got 3.5 stars. I have
only 3.5 for that match, eh?
Yeah.
I gave that sucker like 4.5.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, good for me. How come you don't agree with my opinion? My factual opinion.
It's 3.5. What do you want me to have it? 3 3/4? All right, I'll do 3 3/4. But actually, on day 2, I had 3 matches that I really liked. And for day 1, I had 2 matches that I liked. But like I said, day 2 is the way better for me. And I really enjoyed Orange Cassidy's Orange Juice and Jericho.
Oh my God, I was so
8-man
hoping.
tag team was pure action. I was so shocked that they lost. I really expected Young Bucks FTR to win. I was really, really surprised that they lost. But it was a great matchup. It was really a great match too.
Well, it was announced for Fight for the Fallen that it's going to be the Lucha Bros taking on FTR. So the Lucha Bros got a big win, getting the pinfall victory over the Young Bucks. And this is, to me, setting up that FTR beating the Lucha Bros and being the number 1 team to take on Omega Page at All Out. And then everything kind of falls together with all of that. So we could be looking at a big-time long game here for Young Bucks FTR at the end of the year. So we're definitely talking long game here. You can kind of see the railroad track getting laid down, one might say.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, I adored that match. The Chris Jericho Orange Cassidy match, it's like as a wrestling match, it wasn't as good as say Orange Cassidy Pac from Revolution that we saw. However, if this wasn't just the best example of you have the bad guy, you have the good guy, and you want that good guy to come back and get that big win. It just didn't happen on this day. It was such a simple storytelling, old school as can be, with some character work in between. So good. When Proud and Powerful like threw the orange juice into Orange Cassidy's face, I was hoping of what I see on the indies every now and again is when Orange Cassidy takes a sip of the orange juice and he hulks up like Popeye style, right? Like he had spinach.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping for that. Didn't get it. Instead, we got a fantastic moment where Cassidy hits all of his lucha moves that he's so good at when he's coming back, and then he puts his hands in his pockets, gives Jericho the light little shin kicks, and then he rears back. And what we always see is he gets decked when going for the weak super kick. Well, this time, he drew Jericho into that low sense of security, and he just pulls one back and nails him in the chin for that near fall. Oh, it was so good. So good.
There were so many times that I really thought Orange Cassidy was going to win.
I know, right? Hitting the Michinoku driver was one of them. The near falls were great. All it took, though, is one latch. It looks like Jericho just got away with it. Just one move and bang. And because he's put guys away with that just last second elbow, it made all the sense in the world. What a great sense of storytelling there, just in the ring. It was fantastic.
Yeah. All in all, a lot of good matches both days. Great match second day. Great matches the second day. Yep.
Yeah, so Fight for the Fallen, the main event, is Moxley, Brian Cage. As Brian Cage is actually putting up the FTW title up against Brian Pillman Jr. on AEW Dark this week. That might be something worth watching.
Wow. Huh. Okay. Tuesday night. I'm in.
Sean Spears last week faced Pillman Jr. on Dark. That was pretty okay. Continues the little story of Spears with his little glove and getting the piece of metal in it, knocking people out. Allie and Brandy are doing their thing on Dark as well. Their little story there. Wonder where that's heading. So there's the little things to pay attention to on Dark that's happening. You know, it's a nice little simple show, but.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think of the FTW title, the Fuck the World title, or For the Win if you're in today's lingo? FTW, For the Win.
Fuck the world.
Yeah.
For the win.
So I actually didn't know this because I was not an ECW fan as a kid, but Jay, the Modern Gamecast and Smack It Down, he is currently watching a lot of those late 90s ECW. So he actually knew this, and I did not. So Shane Douglas was ECW champion.
Well, how can it be? Wait a minute. But my thing is how can it even be a title when it's not part of AEW?
Well, as Tez said in his promo, it's a title he made, and it's not recognized by any promotion. So he's self-crowning, basically, his own title. So it's not a real title; it's a prop. Because the story in the past, and even if you didn't know the story in the past, this makes all the sense in the world because of the promos they've been cutting. Moxley's ducking him. Moxley doesn't have the balls. He's a chicken shit, right? And he's not here this week. Oh, it's pushed back a week. How convenient. You know what? You don't want to put your title on the line? You want to sue this? Oh, make my own title. Fuck you. Like, that's the whole point, right? And that really works into the whole Taz character of his past. And bringing up the past here yet again, Taz couldn't get his ECW title shot against Shane Douglas because of injury or something or another. So he came with the FTW title, his own thing. And here we go. It's a very similar circumstance. And because he's a heel and he's calling the coronavirus a weak excuse, works as a bad guy maneuver, right? As opposed to what happened in the past. Yeah. Came across a little awkward, kind of out of nowhere, but in the sense of storytelling, it does make sense.
Well, okay.
Yeah. I just don't know, like, if Cage loses, is he going to... is something going to happen? He's going to keep the FTW title? Is it going to be on the line against Moxley? That part I'm not too sure of. Yeah.
See? It's just stupid.
Yeah, it's weird.
But that's Taz for you. He's dumbass. He's just a dumbass. Two of them are dumbasses.
Yeah. So
There's a couple more douchebags.
My last thought.
I'm not looking forward to Moxley Cage. I really,
no?
I don't know. I'm not feeling.
But who better?
Who better? I'd rather see. I'd rather see Archer. Or
we didn't even talk about Archer Janela. That match was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
That match got me. I really thought Joey Janela was going to beat Archer for a second.
I did too. I loved it when he came out with Sonny Kiss on his shoulder.
Yeah, threw him as a weapon. It was great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
and it was, I thought it was really adorable that the two of them wore the same colors and everything. They kind of had a little matching outfits.
Well, yeah,
Archer
they're a tag team.
Janela.
Yeah, they're a tag team now. Yeah, when Jake the Snake Roberts tried to do his manager thing, and Janela and Kiss were like, "Oh fuck, he's on the apron. We'll take advantage of that." And Janela hit his move. Sonny Kiss hits the 450, get the near fall. Oh, I thought he had it.
That was awesome. Yeah,
that was so good, so well played. I totally fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. I'll admit it. I got no problem with that. And the fact Archer won by just being a murder hawk that he is. Fucking blackout slam outside the ring to the table. And then just bashes his head against the table. I'm like, oh, you poor guy.
I mean, oh my God, that table exploded.
Yeah, it did.
I'm like, holy shit, that was a bomb. I called it the table bomb.
It was awesome.
Oh my God. But Archer's just he's so crazy. So crazy. But there's no way I would see anybody beating Lance Archer.
I mean, Cody did.
What's Lance Archer's current numbers? How many wins and losses?
I haven't looked that up, but he's in the top 5 rankings, AEW.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he'll get another title shot at some point. However they decide it. Cody could have another open challenge. They're going about it very strange with their just announcing.
Janela's hair is so long now. I think he should make his hair like Lance Archer's.
Oh boy.
And the two of them can go on a whip fest or something against each other next time.
Hair versus hair.
Yeah, a hair
Loser
whip
gets their hair cut off.
Yeah.
So one thing that's been bugging me lately.
Oh, God.
AEW has not been promoting their main events lately. Like, we've walked into the last 3 shows, 3 weeks minimum, that we don't know what the main event is for the show. And they don't even talk about it on the show itself. We just don't know what the main event is.
Right. Well, they introduce who's going to, what's going on. Well, yeah, they do. They tell you who the main event is when they go down the roster, and for the main event, it's going to be blah blah blah.
I don't recall they've done that the past 3 weeks. I know they run down the card, but they haven't specifically said this is our main event tonight.
Oh,
stay tuned.
Well,
and even previous.
If you want viewership, wouldn't you keep that? Kind of. If you stay with us, I guess you'll know.
I don't know about that, because then you can anticipate and tune in. You'd know when to tune in case you're busy or something, or you want to stick around for that because you know it's the main event, something like that. It's maybe they're trying something else differently during these past 3 weeks, and they'll go back to it. But it's just something I've noticed, and it's bothered me because I like going in knowing the structure and knowing what to look forward to, rather than this guessing game. I don't like that.
Well, I guess I'll have to pay more attention this week.
There you go. So Fight for the Fallen.
Amanda may or not be joining us. Okay. May or may not be joining us.
So Fight for the Fallen's next week. Who you got, Cage or Moxley?
Well, I definitely think it's going to be Moxley for sure. I think it's going to be a challenge, but I hope that Moxley's just going to kick Cage's ass and put that shit down.
You know what?
And put Taz in his place.
You know what, Mother?
What?
I'm taking the Machine, Brian Cage, because no one's better than Cage. Who better? Nobody. I'm taking Cage. Cage is going to be the next AEW champion. He's getting that chicken shit Moxley in the big drill claw. Moxley's going down, Mother.
All right. Well, I'm not feeling it. I'm not seeing it. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Cage... I don't even like that Cage won the ladder match. I think that was all bullshit. And it really pissed me off. And all I've seen Cage do when he does come out is just throw people outside the ring and say, "Oh, it's me. I did that." Like whatever. So I'm not feeling. I'm really not seeing much out of Cage as far as really wrestling with someone who can challenge him.
Nobody can challenge him. He's the FTW champion. He's too good for these chumps.
Oh, fuck the world. Forget
who do you think's,
about it.
Come on, Mom. Who do you think's going to challenge Cage? Darby Allin? Pff, that chump? Darby Allin's busy in black and white videos hanging out with X Games stars from 2000s. Pastrana, Tony Hawk. What is this? Who's next? Bam Margera? I bet you don't even know who these people are, Mom.
Does it matter? Do I have to know who they are?
I mean, you're a Darby Allin fan. No, they do skateboarding and extreme biking and
extremists. Yeah. They're extremists. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, yeah. I mean, didn't you see Darby Allin do that coffin drop into the foam pit from 40 feet?
Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, I could do that.
Well, yeah, I could do it too. It's a foam pit.
Exactly. I mean, what's that? That's stupid.
I've jumped off higher.
I've gone down the Wedgeinator.
All right, yeah. Water park reference for those.
Water park reference, yes.
Yeah. All right, Mom. Wrestler of the 2 weeks and your big match. What's your favorite match? Anything get 4 stars or higher?
No, I'm a 3.5 star. I could have gone 4, I suppose.
I've only marked down your 4-star or higher matches of the year.
Oh.
Yeah, so the day will come.
Well, I would give, let me see. Then I would say, I will give, I will give the 8-man tag team 4 stars. Then.
Oh, you've gone from 3.5 to 4 stars on this podcast, have you?
If I have to.
All right.
If I have to.
We are Bucks versus Lucha.
Even though my
EXP.
Buckies didn't win.
And then your wrestlers of the week? 2 weeks?
My wrestlers of the week are actually the Young Bucks.
Oh. How about that? So now that makes them tied with Paige for 3.
Ooh.
3 times they've made your Wrestler of the Week.
Ooh.
It's there. Okay. Well, thank you, Mom.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Valiant
Enjoyed
Dynamite
it.
review.
We'll see you next time.
Get ready.
Yes, all right, I'm back. Got my beer. Got my Two Roads beer this time. I'm pretty sure it's from Rhode Island, but I'm going to tell my mind that it's from Vermont because that's what I've been really into. Yes, we're talking DDT. I hope everyone liked and enjoyed my mom and I talking some AEW Fyter Fest. We're gearing up for Fight for the Fallen there. DDT. And I forgot to mention in the last episode that, or at least I have to mention now, that the upcoming King of DDT tournament that's going to happen doesn't have Jun Akiyama in it, which is kind of surprising because it seems like we're getting geared up to an Akiyama Konosuke Takeshita match. So I thought maybe they could have done at least something with Jun Akiyama All Out and company. So that's kind of disappointing. I wonder where they're going to go with that. Maybe Akiyama doesn't kitty cat. Is it like every section of this podcast? What do you got? What are you looking for? What? Come here. Yeah, meow. I know. Just chill, kitty cat. No. Get out of here. Oh my god. It's a shame he's not meowing up a storm. That would be funny. Okay, you're gonna chill? Okay. So, DDT July 3rd, titled Let's Meet or De Aimashou? I don't know, something like that. Tag team match, Eruption. One of my favorite tag teams in 2020. That's my man Higuchi, Yakuza himself, with Sakaguchi. They defeat the team of Hideki Okatani and Watase. Kind of a lower-end tag match, 8:53. Love Higuchi. He kills Okatani via the Canadian backbreaker for the win. You want a nice little DDT undercard match that's not filled with that Honda comedy? Then recommend. Tag team match follows Damnation. Daisuke Sasaki and Soma Takao defeat Antonio Hama and Hiroshima, 8:15. Honda is in it, so naturally I checked out. He got rolled up by Sasaki anyways. A hard skip of a match. Big thumbs down from me on that one. Singles match, Chris Brooks, the Universal Champion, defeats Mako Donaratu. He's fucking a clown. It's a fucking clown. 8:17, Chris Brooks commits attempted murder on a perverted clown. There's a rope crotch spot that goes awry. And if this clown isn't able to have children after this, then it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Let's be honest, boys. There was a cabrata spot the clown attempts, and whew, boy, do I have to use the word attempt on that one, because I'm sure his life flashed before his eyes. Very scary landing. This was bizarre affair, yet extremely entertaining. If you want to see Chris Brooks versus a perverted clown, then this match is for you. It's for me. It should be for everybody. And that I should also mention, now that I'm on the topic of super serious matches, Yoshihiko turns out to be alive. Won the Iron Heavy Metal Weight Thing-of-a-Jig title on a kind of a middle-of-the-road other show here, and coming to GCW to take on one bad boy Joey Janela, assuming Yoshihiko holds on to this prestigious title. If we're going to talk me watching an indie show, Joey Janela versus the draw of the world, Yoshihiko, might have to just throw my wallet at the TV right now. Jun Akiyama teaming with Makoto Oishi defeat the all-out team of Akito and Takeshita, 14-21. This is immediately one of the top programs of DDT, as Takeshita is out to prove his ace status against the legend. This was one of those matches DDT has been so good at that you forget whether or not a crowd is even present. You just simply get lost in the in-ring story going on. Akito's leg gets wounded and leads to Oishi taking advantage of this for the win. Akiyama and DDT has been a huge get for the promotion and already seems to be paying off those dividends. Jun Akiyama killing the kind of sophomores and rookies of DDT's little dojo going on here, and now getting into a program with one of their top heel factions. I'm very much for all of this, and you should be too. DDT in 2020 has absolutely shocked me. I mean, I've been on this podcast before saying, I'm not into it. Maybe too much comedy. Maybe the hardcore doesn't do it for me. Ever since that TV show started, and I checked it out. I listened to some of that SOS Wrestling Network reviews going on over there. I'm way into this at more than any point in its history. I don't know whether it's the circumstances of the world right now, and I need a laugh, because certainly AEW has done that for me on Dynamite. But even when it's for DDT's more serious main title, and especially their tag division, maybe it's the new blood, maybe it's the way they're presenting themselves a little bit differently. Something's clicking right now in this promotion, and I can't recommend it enough right now. And the Jun Akiyama Takeshita stuff is definitely something I think new people could get into. Nautilus, my number 2 tag team of the year right now. That's Yoshimura and Yuki Ueno. Defeat Damnation, Mad Paulie and Endo, 12:30. Another tag team style match. It's not going to light the world on fire, but this one for Ueno and Endo, of course, building up their Cork and Hall big KOD title match. This wasn't nearly as good as their first encounter from that I covered in the previous podcast episode. Ueno pins Paulie via the moonsault this time. It was fine. Saki Akai in her little 7-match series. This is match number 7 against Meiko Satomura. Did headline this show. 13 minutes, 3 seconds. So DDT is really bent on making Saki Akai here their big female star, and putting her in with Satomura is yet another gauge on more or less how ready she is. And I'm a fan of her look. She's got it, but the in-ring is still pretty clumsy. Satomura wins with the Scorpio Rising. That's that big jumping axe kick thing that she does. Akai just simply can't hang in a singles match of Satomura's level without looking like, well, let's face it, the all-legs wrestler she is. It's amazing that sometimes putting someone in a match with someone at such a high level makes who you're trying to push just comes off as so inferior. That Sauriano match was kind of that served the purpose of elevation, and the idea here is being in the ring with Satomura elevates her, but we're 7 matches in at this point. Akai's just still not at that level. I don't think she probably ever will, as harsh as that sounds. So maybe this was just kind of a, hey, Meiko Satomura is still the legend she is. A good try? I don't know. Kind of didn't hit me the right way. But if you couldn't tell, Fyter Fest, I was a big fan of, especially Night 2. I think that alone, and just didn't have enough misses for it to really compound on each other for a solid DDT show to be considered a AEW losing. So AEW does win this rendition of the Ocean War. As I go to the little event notice here, that puts AEW up 10-4 over DDT in 2020. So DDT's got some work to do. I think with their big Cork and Hall show, it could be looking pretty good there. Alrighty, with that, let's kick it on over to the Joshi War with JPQ for the next hour.
世界一可愛いのは伊藤ちゃん。本当の愛を探すんだ。
Yes, Red Leaf Retrocast is back to talk some Joshi wrestling. It's the Joshi War. And that was Maki Ito's music, special for my special guest. JPQ's back. Big paws and a pup, coming out of retirement just for me. So proud.
The cutest retired podcaster in the world, JPQ, is here. What's up, buddy?
I'm so happy to have you on. I'm so glad it's your first coming out of retirement show, because we know in wrestling, no one actually retires.
That's right. Yeah, you just close chapters of your life. That's what you do.
That's right. So hopefully this can be a regular thing, like our All Japan Women watch parties that we do on Monday nights these days in the Red Leaf Retrocast Discord.
Big fan of that. The AJW club is a lot of fun. You, me, Omega, K, Jay. He likes to be part of it, but I don't know if he'll actually watch a show or not with us.
Yeah, the community's growing of our nice little niche stick going on. And speaking of things I'm quite proud of is my write-ups I'm doing at Wrestling News World with the retro write-ups.
Congratulations.
All Japan Women's on there as well.
Yeah, I listened to the first, I read the first one. I thought you did a tremendous job with it, buddy, and I'm excited to see what's coming down the pike from Mr. JD himself over on WNW. So, congratulations.
Yes, everything's a learning experience, including watching All Japan Women. Well, we're gearing up for some big shows in the Joshi world these days. Fans are back.
You know, here's the funny thing, and I'm glad that you brought me on right now. Like, this is the perfect time. And I don't say that tongue-in-cheek, although you know where I'm going with that later. It is very exciting because you brought me on earlier this year, and you and I were kind of joshing back and forth, as the kids say, about how there really was this Joshi War, but there really wasn't this Joshi War. Right? It was Stardom, and it's everybody else. And then, then bam, the quarantine happened. And now coming out of the quarantine where... You know, I'll tell you, I'm very excited to talk some Stardom because they've had a good weekend and they have a great set of shows coming up in July. But my goodness, from SeaDlinnng to Actress to Ice Ribbon, of all people, coming through the gates, got to Move Pro and Choco Pro, what they're doing. Phenomenal job from Joshi. They took a lemon situation, and as a whole, as individual companies, they made lemonade, and I appreciate everything that they're trying to do to keep us fans engaged in their product.
Absolutely. Gato Move deserves all the credit in the world. I catch occasionally their main events. It's very wholesome wrestling product there. If it's not for you, well, that's okay. There's 50 other Joshi promotions out there that's doing very well and bouncing back. Well, not Wave, but everyone else seems to be bouncing back strong. Or, okay, Sendai's still on the farm, but that's okay.
Right.
We've been joking about that one.
They don't have slot times yet to pull in. I like to think that they're all going to get on the bus at one point and head somewhere.
Somewhere indeed. Okay, so let's kick this off. SeaDlinnng, a promotion I was down on heading into 2020, even boldly predicted they might even fold, just so I could get my prediction going. But SeaDlinnng ran a show June 26th, gearing up for their big July 13th show of the big title defense between Arisa Nakajima and Yoshiko. So they ran this show, and this was your kind of Road 2 show, if you will, gearing up for that big title match. And they had a high-speed three-way between Miyuki Takase, defeating Misa Matsui and Sakushi of Ice Ribbon fame. So yes, you have Sakushi seems to be gearing up with something with the Actress champion. Very interesting. That's going to play more of a role on their July 13th show. I believe there's another three-way that's going to happen there for something. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a high speed. So we got Sakushi versus Sasamura versus Kobayashi.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, so Takase's not in that. All right, so there's a different role there. The card looks excellent. I don't have it in front of me because I want to spend more time talking about that Nakajima-Yoshiko match. But continuing on this June 26th card, La Fresa de Igostas. Asuka and Makoto defeat Max Voltage. That is the Itsuki and Ryu Mizunami team. Just about 16 minutes. I don't know how familiar you are with the Max Voltage tag team in SeaDlinnng, but they are incredibly entertaining. When I thought, when you think of charismatic, jumps off the screen wrestlers in Joshi World, Aoki Itsuki does not come to mind, but in this team with Ryu Mizunami, she certainly does now.
I'll tell you this: I'm not as familiar with Max Voltage, but I am a fan of Mizunami, and I have been for a while in the matches that I have seen. And anybody that has a move that they call the Hot Limit or the Fire Thunder Tombstone Pilot Driver, I'm 100% on board with, and I have been for a little while. So I'm glad that she's back. I know she's been back a while. But yeah, she, her tag team and the way she has is, isn't there another person in that? I want to feel like I've seen her wrestle with somebody. Is Takase part of Max Voltage too?
That would make sense because of their personalities.
Okay. All right. I thought that I saw some subtitle.
I cannot confirm nor deny that this makes sense.
Take that. So I might know what I'm talking about.
But Asuka is really on the rise over there. She's coming off her excellent title match that she unfortunately lost. That's Asuka, all caps, for those not wondering. But let's talk about this tag match. This was the main event. This is your big preview match of the title match in SeaDlinnng. SeaDlinnng has put on, or especially Arisa Nakajima, put on some of the best women's matches of 2020. This was the best friends, JPQ.
That's right.
Nakajima and Fujimoto versus Hiroyo Matsumoto and Yoshiko. I believe I nicknamed them in my rankings the big ass bitches.
Ooh, the Babs.
Yes.
I like Babs. I can get behind Babs. The best friends versus the Babs.
I'm glad you caught that one. Mm-hmm. Because this match, I don't know if you've seen this. This was fucking awesome. This tag match.
Mm-hmm. They're strong. Very strong.
Tsukasa Fujimoto was on her A game of, I'm going to do everything I can to make Yoshiko and Nakajima look like $1 million. Yoshiko on the kick-out badass train, and Nakajima on the, I will do everything I can to try to put her down.
That's the right way of explaining that. That's exactly what it was.
It was fantastic. Fujimoto would help Nakajima get the advantage, try to put her away, keep Matsumoto at bay, whether that was outside the ring or keeping her from being involved in this tag match. And the story was, it goes to a 20-minute draw. Nakajima could not put Yoshiko away despite the help from her best friend. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was everything a preview tag match should be and more. I highly recommend it. Yoshiko came out looking extremely powerful, and I think if you went into this big SeaDlinnng match, this Beyond the Sea title match here, and you don't think Yoshiko's winning after a tag match like this, I think you should rewatch this match.
Yeah, I would agree. Actually, I really enjoy your breakdown there because that is the story. The story is Nakajima and the fierceness that she has going up against Yoshiko and doing everything humanly possible to put her down. And Fujimoto's there to assist in any way that she can. And I can't count, but I mean 2, 3, maybe 4 times you just see Fujimoto as they're going for the pinfall, grabbing an ankle, grabbing an arm, stalling Hiroyo outside the ring, just the little things that you and I just come to enjoy so much about the in-ring storytelling. Tsukasa, everybody knew their part, and they executed it for 20 minutes. It's just good stuff overall.
Yeah, and it's not easy to throw in a 20-minute draw and make it presentable in a way where it makes you want to buy the pay-per-view. And speaking of which, it will be on TV on July 17th. That you can, for our listeners, you can sign up through iSakura, which is easy enough to Google. You can get like a $3 for 3 days thing, and they do have a 14-day archive span that you can go back and watch the show. So get ready for that. That is the July 13th pay-per-view from SeaDlinnng, Arisa Nakajima versus Yoshiko. And also, Arisa Nakajima was on the Joshi Pod, our friends on over there, to also hype up that big pay-per-view match. So excellent stuff there. Arisa Nakajima shooting up the rankings of the Red Leaf Retrocast. No doubt about that. She absolutely deserves that. And keep an eye on Yoshiko. She might be making a run here in the back half of 2020.
Yeah, and I really enjoy the rankings that you're doing because it's so much different than it was last year. Last year was like a 2-person race for the majority of the year. And right now, where it's a little heavy towards the top, we have people rising up the ranks. Pretty good.
There you go. So let's get on to a little Ice Ribbon after I play the little Maya Yukihi music that everyone knows and loves. I'm so glad I was finally able to get a clean snippet of the Ice Queen's entrance theme. It's been missing on the show for far too long. So what we're talking about here is we're gearing up for a couple big main events coming up in Ice Ribbon. They ran a dojo show, Ice Ribbon number 1049, house show type thing. I believe it was based on random draw of the card, was an idea, and coming into 2020, especially coming out of their big New Year's Eve show they have to do every year. You and I, JPQ, were very worried about Ice Ribbon, and like you said at the top of the cast, coming out of the coronavirus period, doing the pandemic, they ran these dojo shows and really hyped up a lot of what Ice Ribbon can offer. They started building new stars. The roster has looked absolutely fantastic, bigger, better than ever. And they've added English commentary and a little store to everything. They're moving up in the world, and they've definitely, I think, had the strongest 2020 of any Joshi promotion out there.
I think I have to agree with you. I mean, you can make a case for Choco Pro.
Oh,
and
sure. That's very arguable, yeah.
Yeah, but it's 1 and 2, right? It's 1 and 1A right now. And look, Stardom is on a different plane when it comes to resources and the global accessibility and all this other type of stuff. And Ice Ribbon needed to come in and keep themselves relevant. And they did that, and they succeeded in great margins, not just putting on these YouTube shows, but then even parlaying that into getting people to subscribe to their Nico Pro, which is different than the original Nico Pro. Right? So you have to go through all these hoops to kind of get to their live, quote-unquote, pay-per-view type of shows, their subscription shows. But in the meantime, you got to know these characters because they worked with a very limited roster over the course of the COVID live dojo shows. And you fell in love with these characters, right? I mean, people that didn't know who Tai Hanma was, or Sakushi and Ham, your favorite.
Oh, don't even get me started on the Ham.
Moko, and bringing back the old title and things like that. Like they did enough to keep everybody interested, and then on top of that, then they utilized that to build some momentum for themselves. So where they were to where they are coming out, I'll tell you, is a bigger jump than where Stardom was and where Stardom came out. Shit, you can even say that Stardom took a step back coming out of COVID.
Sure.
Right? Choco Pro improved, but Ice Ribbon, I got to give them the edge. I really think that they took that next step in the relevance field with a lot of fans, giving us content that nobody else was giving us during the harder days of the COVID, right? The more shutdown days of COVID. You got to commend them for that, right? And they did it safely. Nobody got sick. They did it smart. So, good on them.
So one thing, like I've been getting into a little bit more of the business side of wrestling, just offer a little perspective on kind of the strength of companies, how much they sell, attendance sizes. Kind of gives you a good reasoning, or at least a popularity bar, you might say. Okay, and coming out of the coronavirus period, I'm going to be paying quite a bit of attention to how many people are showing up to those Cork and Hall shows. Let's take Wave as an example. They ran a show that could have had 150 people there, and they only got like 99 people to show up. Not good, right?
Nope.
One could argue. You would think people would be clamoring for wrestling, but if your promotion can't fill up 150, then there's your gauge of how popular it is right there. So, like, the Cork and Hall shows are coming up for Ice Ribbon and Stardom, and I'm wondering how many people are gonna be able to be there, and will they fill it up? And if they both fill it up, well, I'm going to be paying attention to the next one, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting gauge, considering that Stardom didn't run any shows, and Ice Ribbon were running their dojo shows just the way you explained. So I'm paying attention to that. I'm paying attention to how many people are showing up to the SeaDlinnng shows, but most of them are kind of doing the Shinkiba thing right now. 100 people can be there. Maybe I think 50 people can show up. I think that's the max.
Yeah, I think that's the magic number, right?
So there you go on that one. Let me just break down this house show that they ran, and they actually set up some stories for this house show, which is quite interesting. Excuse me. Oh, that beer's getting me. Oh, I'm just so happy talking all this women's wrestling. It's just... All right. Tsukushi using referee Mio Shirai as a shield and getting scolded post-match as Tsukushi and Miyagi defeat Yappy and Uno in a tag match. It originally set up a match with Yappy with the whole fight fair shtick, with Mio as the referee, Tsukushi being the absolute adorable jerk that she is, stomps the hands and bolts, and cued a bunch of memes in the Joshi world for what Tsukushi's doing. And Kay from the Big Egg Joshi podcast that he just started, I'm shouting that podcast out a lot. If you're a Joshi fan, go check him out. He's also a member of the Red Leaf Retrocast Discord. We've been talking a lot about Tsukushi's future and how big she is and how important she is, and a draw for Ice Ribbon. And she's coming back after that stabbing incident where she disappeared for like a year. And this is a great opportunity. She's back in the good graces with a lot of people. You can kind of tell the fans love her. When do you think, JPQ, that Ice Ribbon pulls the trigger on her for a singles title run? Will it be 2020? Are we gearing up for a redemption story arc here? Or is there some other plan in the works for Tsukushi?
Oh, man. Tsukushi.
Tough question, I know.
It's so hard because you have Suzu right there. You know, and they were building Suzu versus Maya, and you could have pulled the trigger on it, but they decided not to, and that's fine because nobody was in the crowd. And I watched these two wrestle, Suzu and Suzu. I shouldn't say those two together, Suzu and Tsukushi. My goodness, and it just feels like it's the bigger star still Suzu. So can you sneak Tsukushi in there, give her a quick run, maybe lose it to Suzu down the line, and then bring Maya back into the fold? Right, kind of as that cocky champion coming back. She's done this before. She's beaten Suzu. I mean, she's beaten all of them.
You see the path ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at it, right? And then that makes a lot of sense to me. And then that hubris gets the best of her, and Suzu gets one up on her, and then they kind of move away from her and come back, right? And you can kind of play that out. I think that's where I lean. I think that's the only thing that makes sense, because you didn't pull the trigger on Suzu originally. Now you got to pivot to Tsukushi. You got to give it to her at some point. I don't think it's as big of a matchup, and Tsukushi can prove me wrong, but I don't think it's like a Ribbon Mania type of show, like a card. I don't think it needs to necessarily be that big of an event for her to win the title. But when she ultimately does win it. Well, it is one of those. Go ahead.
It's funny you mentioned that. They did announce. I'll announce kind of the breakdown card of the Osaka Ribbon show that was announced. It was also announced that they will be returning to Yokohama down the line. That's going to be a big time title match card for sure. We'll see if Tsukushi gets slipped in there and maybe takes one off of Maya. I am all for this kind of slipping her in for a short title reign. And then that will reinvigorate kind of a main event power for Tsukushi, which she's lacked ever since the incident. But her in this tag title run, and her being this pseudo heel, she is a heel, but it's her own personality of a heel, which absolutely works. It's a Maki Ito type. If you know what I'm saying? Yes.
Yeah, that's she's the best because she's an ass.
Yeah.
You know.
So keep that in mind as I kind of preview a couple cards here in a second. Maika Ozaki loses to Kurumi 8-11. Quite good match. Did wonders for Maika, looking better in the ring. Helps Kurumi move up the card with this win. Excellent power struggle with Maika trying to at least prove her power is at the same level of Kurumi's. The shoulder block spots, clothesline spots this match are the best examples of this. I really like this one. This is a hugely underrated women's match of 2020. For a middle of the card match, this absolutely shocked me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Risa Sera and Tekla versus Suzu Suzuki and Fujimoto teaming up. time limit draw, 15 minutes. Goofy comedy type match, seeing Suzu and Suka doing a jump scare throughout the match and building off that. I have no earthly idea why this went to a draw, though. That's okay. I had fun nonetheless.
I think that's the important takeaway here, is that at no point did this feel serious.
Right.
You know? So it's like it's almost as if like the goof of running out of time fit the narrative of the match.
Right. They're having so much fun, they forgot to win.
Right.
And the main event, which was so shocking, and it creates a big narrative here that we could be looking at another contender for the title, which I was not expecting in 2020. Maya Yukihi defeats Akane Fujita, 12:59. The bigger story here is Akane getting a second shot at Maya. If you remember, a few months ago, she did have her title match, and it was very good. Akane Fujita, you know, you could tell she's slimmed down a bit. She looks stronger, faster, better. Yeah. How does that shtick go? Well, she absolutely looks it. She took it to the Ice Princess with hard chops. More fire than last time. You could absolutely see this in the match. This came across as do or die for Akane, and with that, and we've seen it time and time again in, I don't know, a certain Arisa match in Stardom, comes with easy mistakes, and that's something you just don't do against the Ice Princess. Akane continues to show much improved 2020. More endurance is very important compared to her hardcore-style matches of the yesteryear. Post-match, Akane, and this is where it gets interesting, JPQ, basically begs for one more shot, and then Maya gives her the queen bitch look and brushes her away. It's like, you had your chance, bitch. You've lost twice. Akane had her chance. She looks at her fellow Frank sisters. They're looking on, and they've been kind of low-key building up this Akane Fujita, Karumi and company, losing tag matches, people getting falls. Very interesting. It's going to be interesting if she does indeed get this third chance, or does this play a larger role in the possibility of a Frank Sisters storyline? You guys are more familiar with that one. I love this Akane Fujita going up the card in 2020.
You're just a fan of Mochi, so anybody that's attached to Mochi, I think you've got a soft spot for.
I am very much a sucker for War Crusher, Mochi.
That's right.
I'm very sad they have dropped calling her that since the Dojo shows kind of ended on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
I was all about the War Crusher gimmick.
The War Crusher. Oh, so much fun. Yeah, I agree with you. So I'm glad that you said her name's Akane, because I always called her Akane because the accent. But it is one of those things where here's what I'm liking so much about Maya Yuki's run right now. Is that 2019 was the year of dominance. Wins the title, vacates the title, wins the tournament to win the title back, goes through the roster, left, right, up, down, sideways. And now we're coming to 2020. And Suzu, is she the one? Is it going to be Sakushi again? And man, how many times can she go and wrestle these people and before someone finally comes along and takes this title from her, right? What Maya is doing right now as part of her legacy in this run is building competitors for herself. We talk a lot about how the champion isn't just responsible for holding the title, but they're responsible for making the person opposite of them look fantastic. Mm-hmm. And the story of Maya through 2020, whether it's just tag matches on the Dojo side or whether it's these type of high-profile championship defenses, she is putting in, night in and night out, quality matches that are helping us further suspend our disbelief that there's somebody out there that can beat her, right? Akane being one, Suzu being another. She obviously, Tsukasa's going to be there like every third opponent, right?
Right.
More or less. But we've seen her do some really, really nice things over the course of the last couple months. And as somebody that watches Maya from afar, and as somebody that I've always associated with Ice Ribbon because I had to get into Ice Ribbon more this year to understand the layers of the roster, she goes in there and she makes these people look like they're makes them look like they're $1 million. And that's what a champion should do. And that's really my story of Maya, this part of her reign in 2020.
Absolutely. It's really bringing back similarities to the Kento Miyahara Triple Crown title reign that he had, where he went like 10, 11, 12 defenses. and everybody came in. They just couldn't get it done, but god damn it, they look good doing it.
So good. Looks so good.
It's going to be interesting who finally takes this title off Maya.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big moment in Ice Ribbon. So, gear up for later. 10:51. 10:50 did happen. That is indeed a house show. Not much happened there. Tekla is defending the title, the underground title against Matsuya Uno. Should be interesting to say the least. Nice little under mid-card type thing. Shuri isn't exclusive to Stardom. She's back in Ice Ribbon to team up with Honma against Totoro and the 343-year-old Ram Kaicho. I believe I got that age right. And then that is the show with main event Ham going for the Infinity title. I, for one, am giving Ham a 1% chance she is taking this title from Maya Yuki. Maya Yuki.
So you're saying there's a chance? There
is a what? Well, fuck. We just saw Evil win the double title. I'm not sure of anything anymore.
It's true. It's a good point.
Okay, I'll give her 1%. That's what I'm doing here.
I'll tell you that I don't think Ham's gonna win. She had a nice little run through COVID. Yeah, we're all happy for Ham, but I don't think she has what it takes to take the title off Maya. But I'm excited for this card. I think there's a couple on this. Tekla is really somebody that's stood out in 2020 for me.
She's gotten better leaps and bounds in a hurry.
Really, the progression is really impressive. It really is. I didn't know about her before Joshi Pod. And then I heard on the Joshi Pod and I started to kind of focus, and you were getting me into Ice Ribbon. And
You're
so
welcome.
then I started
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I started to kind of pay attention a little bit more to her. And I was like, okay, let me I'll just keep an eye on her. It's, lower mid card at the time. And it just seems like every time I watch her, she's getting a little bit better. And the momentum's getting a little bit behind her. And, her attitude in the ring and the way she's not selling to anybody because there's nobody in the audience, right? But
Sure.
The way she's kind of performing is there's a comfortability there that it seems like, I don't know if she's understanding the language more or if she's just the comfortability of working with these people as close as she has been for an extended period of time. Probably a little bit of
Comfortability
both.
award.
Yeah, she's really putting it together. I'm really really happy for her.
Yeah. But it was announced via a magazine that was loosely translated online. Again, Kay and I were discussing this one. Osaka Ribbon Show was announced. I didn't get the date for it, but you can bet it's either late July or early August. It's kind of in line with what they usually do. Tsukushi versus X. This was supposed to be the Yappy match, but Yappy is tending to family issues. Big rumors that it could be Mio Shirai herself making maybe a little run here. Coming out of retirement.
Do you know how happy I would be personally if I got to see Mio Shirai again, who's only 32? Let's put this into perspective. She's not old. She hasn't wrestled since 2015.
Right.
But she's not old. Like she put on those couple shows in 2015 for herself. And then went off into retirement. And outside of being a ref, we haven't seen much from Mio over the last 5 or 6 years or so. And so for her to come back in and we know that she's been working in the ring, training and helping out with that side of it. So it's not like she's going to have to dust off the ring rust too much. She's the one. The rumor's true. And she's going to come back in Osaka. And she's going to jump into the ring here. That's a pretty good deal for Mio, man. And that's good for the fans too. And that's something that that's some buzz. We're going to be talking about that. That's a big deal.
Absolutely. Number 1 contenders tag title match. Kurumi is in it. That's at least one person that I was able to decipher there. A triangle title match with Honma defending against Ram and X, another mystery opponent. And then a and a 5-way match to take on the Infinity Champion featuring Suzu Suzuki is in it. A few other people, but for all intents and purposes, is not spoiling the main event Ham picture of who wins that match. The other 4 were announced. Would be weird to see Suzu coming out of this one, and then she gets another title match just coming out of Summer.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, but it is a 5-way match, which means anybody can win.
Anything goes.
Gears up for another defense for the Infinity Champion.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, those 5-people matches, and I've noticed this with Ice Ribbon and a couple other Joshi promotions, they really do, when it's all bets are off, when it's 5 people in there. They'll figure out a reasonable way for somebody to win, but, it's never the person you think it's going to be.
Right. Okay. That is the Ice Ribbon preview and kind of review there. Good show from Ice Ribbon. Could the Shinkiba shows from Stardom win this week's Joshi War? I don't know. They got a limited cards out, but let me play the drop. Where would we be without playing Hanakamura's music?
Mm-hmm.
You blocked me on Facebook, and now you're going to die.
JPQ, the reason why you're here. Talking some Stardom.
That's
Feels
right.
like ages.
It's been a minute. I don't think we talked on here for No People Gate, which is kind of criminal considering who main evented. I think
it's meant to be. I wouldn't speak of such evils.
Mayu can't draw. I get it. But yeah, I think it's been at least since Stardom the way to Major League or something like that back in February.
Yeah. So Stardom ran a couple shows past weekend, July 11th and 12th. They're still uploading basically the mid-cards of it all. One that they just released about an hour before recording was the Shuri Starlight Kid singles match, which is really got my ears perked up. I don't know about you.
Yeah, huge.
But I feel enough has been released, so we can make we can definitely see the big shows coming up. I believe they announced July 26th. I believe is their big show.
We have July. There's a couple actually. Their big show is going to be on July 24th.
24th. Okay.
That's the big one. And then, but we have the 17th. We have a couple things going on as well. So, a couple tournaments and, a little qualifier for a Future of Stardom Championship as well. There's got a lot of things coming down the pike.
Mm-hmm. So the big coming out party for July 11th was Tokyo Cyber Squad, Konami teaming with She's Back in the Ring, Makes Me Happy, Brought a Tear to My Eye, Jungle Kiona.
Yeah, there's big emotion there.
Oh.
When especially at the beginning when she kind of leans down and she kind of kicks the gun back, almost in like a sprinter stance, before she looks up at the sky type of thing, like she's kind of collecting herself.
Dude, she's got bullets around her.
Yeah, that was crazy. She comes in with the water gun and 40 cals around her neck. It's ridiculous.
Takes on Death Yamasan Rina, defeats them 7 minutes.
Yeah.
It was just nice to see her back in the ring again. They did a full Tokyo Cyber Squad salute to the sky, and I got to put up a strong front in front of my cat. I'm not gonna cry in front of him. He'll take advantage of me, but I will fully admit that I choked up.
Absolutely.
This was tough.
Not easy, man. I think there's still a lot of healing, not just from Jungle, but the fans too. We haven't really been able to process a lot of this. With everything that's been going on, and it's not easy. So, but take the wins where you got them. Jungle Kiona came back. It was a nice little TCS exhibition with the 4 of them. I love seeing Death in there doing her thing as part of this, and we got through it. 7 minutes and we got through it.
Death Yamasan, greater than evil. Come at me.
That's right, and I agree with you, man.
Queen's Quest is on a tear. That's Sayaki Kamatani and Utami. Blonde hair, top star looking Utami with the Tatanka fringe going on.
Mm-hmm. It sure does.
Defeats the Stars team of Saya Ida and Tam Nakano, who's uber pissed about her bruise that she got booted on her left eye. 13-minute match. I got to talk about Utami here. She's looking top draw quality right now with this new look. She's looking thinner, she's looking stronger, she's looking more confident than she did going into coronavirus period. Something's changed, And then Tam Nakano, she's got some fire behind her.
Yeah.
So it seems everyone's very motivated right now. And it was definitely seen in this match. Okay. Saya Kamitani, dude, girl, you're going to, like, she's going to, like, fall on the ropes and hang herself with all that fringe. It is ridiculous. She's got to cut some of that off. You know what? It hit me when I was watching this match and her, like, kind of botching a bunch of moves. Drop kick's not looking so good. She cracks Saida in the chin off a messed up drop kick. You know those beads that hang around the door instead of the door itself?
Oh, sure.
The bead curtain. There we go. Found the
hippie
word.
beads. Right.
The hippie beads. Yeah, that's what she reminds me of right now. A walking hippie bead.
I would agree with that. I'll tell you, I think it's a better showing for Saya. I think she's progressing, and they're really elevating her really fast. And I don't know if she's ready for it.
It seems too soon to me.
Yeah, but you put her with Utami, and it's like you can hide a lot of that, you know. But yeah, she's got some work to do. She's still a little rough around the edges. It's certainly a better showing, although you're right. There's definitely some inconsistencies, and she definitely did wallop Saya in the face. Now, Saya's also 4'9", so she's not helping herself against somebody in there who's like 5'4", 5'5". It's just Saida is so small.
She was laying down. Not moving.
Please don't. Oh, you hit me. Anyway,
exactly.
To your point about Utami. Utami, you're right, is absolute bona fide red belt material right now. I don't know if she's taken the opportunity over the course of this 3-month hiatus to put on more weight in a good way, or
Muscle.
if just changing her outfit made her overall profile that much more imposing. The bottom half of her, and it might have always been there, but there's this thickness to her. And again, I mean this in an appropriate way. There's this like thickness to her to where I don't think that there is any two people combination that you can put together in Stardom that she can't lift up at the same time. Like she is an absolute powerhouse. And it's all legs, right? And she's obviously got the frame to fill it out on the upper body, but she is all legs. And she just and she's agile. And again, I take nothing away from her speed. But man, that power in this new outfit is it helps to exemplify her that much more and the potential that she could be. And if they uncork that bottle, boom, she's not coming back to earth. She's just going to be EO quality of just nobody can stop her because she looks that imposing.
Main event trios match, Oedo Tai, the NWO C squad in my eyes right now. They are. This is quite the team. Tora, Natsu Sumire, and Saki Kashima defeat.
Say it again, one more time.
Defeat Donna Del Mundo, Julia, Jumbo Himika, and Micah. 20-minute, 35-second match. Saki revivals Julia for her first pinfall loss in Stardom, and then proceeds to challenge for the trios titles. Talks that bean sprout shit. Julia loses her goddamn mind. Shuri tries to calm her down. We get a great moment of Julia freaking out. I am calm! Some very good moments here. JPQ, I will fully admit, not see this coming, and that revival did indeed come out of nowhere.
It sure did, because it wasn't your normal transitional type of revival either. It's kind of like she just kind of ducked her head and got her down, right? And Julia, again, 2.5 years into the game here, doesn't know the counter. Beautiful storytelling, number one. Number two, can we just talk about Saki Kashima and Oedo Tai for 1 second? Just for 1 second. Now, I'm not going to sit here and oversell Saki Kashima as being like the next greatest thing in Joshi wrestling. No. We all know that I believe that. And I'll die on that hill, but it's going to be me alone. And I just realized that as a fan. But what I will say is for somebody that walked into a C plus NWO, she's making every effort to bring them to a B minus B plus right now.
They're trying to get the B Squad music, that Buff Bagwell music, at least going.
Yeah, you just give me. She's punching it up just a little bit more, and Natsu helps. Obviously, her coming in. By the way, we got to talk about Natsu's coat, and it's nice. Anyway, but you have Natsuko, who is just Drek, right? Like she's just not the greatest.
This woman is. She's trying my patience. She's going full I fully expect her to come out in Oakland Raiders football pads like Nagahore and All Japan Women.
At least that's a callback. At least he gave her something. Like right now, I don't know who she is.
She needs to bust out a tomahawk chop, start busting people open. Like I spoke on the last show, she's trying to incorporate this chain into her match. Mm-hmm. You know, we watch All Japan Women here. We're watching Dump Matsumoto stab people with a fork.
Yeah.
And Natsuko Tora's like not a heel, and yet she has this chain and she's frog splashing people on it. She did a scoop slam on the chain in this match.
Yep.
I'm like, girl, you're baby steps. I guess I gotta be. But those are even small for babies.
She choked out. I mean, last week she choked out Konami. You know, like or at least tried to. I'm not a big chain guy, right? And Natsuko's like. And look, she's very sweet, and I'm a big fan. I'm actually a fan of Natsuko outside of her joining Oedo Tai. Like when she was like the runner-up to Jungle Assault Nation, I was like, that makes sense, right? Red hair, purple, that makes sense. But she doesn't have a cohesive character, and I think that's what's kind of driving me.
It doesn't make sense. If she's gonna pull
Red Eye, I don't know.
If she's gonna pull this heel persona out, because Natsu and I'll admit, Saki have that kind of edge to them, but they're the undercard, right? They're mid-card on occasion with their shot. Saki more than Natsu, sure. Except when they're against each other.
Right.
Tora here, if she wants to use this chain, and you can go back to the 80s, whether it's All Japan Women, NWA. I've seen my fair share on this podcast, doing my little retro journeys that I do. Just get the ref to distract and punch him in the face with the chain. Boom. It's not rocket science, and then you win a match that way. Oedo Tai themselves used to do it with the sign. Right?
I don't know why the chain. Just brass knuck it, you know? Like,
yeah, just you know, it's the build-up. Wrap it around your fist, show it to the fans, hide it from the referee a little bit. You know, do a little shake, rattle, roll, and bang, you win the match. Right. It isn't hard, but Tora has this weird thing where she has to do a move on it, and then the chain like barely plays a role. It's so weird. And going back to that first show back with fans, and she does the frog splash on it, and then later she gets DQ'd with the extremely tone deaf hanging of Konami.
I don't fault Natsuko for that. I fault Stardom for that. But yes, I agree.
This is awful.
It's tough, you know, and it's like, why does it have to be such a big chain, and why does the chain have to be an accessory that she carries to the ring? Why can't it be a thinner chain that she keeps almost like a 1990s wallet, you know, chain that she keeps on the side of her, and then she just unclicks it when the referee's not paying attention.
There you go.
Wraps it around her fist.
Hogan weight belt situation.
Exactly.
It's all right in front of you.
It's just right there, like trying too hard a little bit with these damn gimmicks. Like she's got I always forget the Raphael weapons from whatever the hell, Elektra's weapons, whatever the hell they're called. She's got that from the Prime Minister herself, Kagetsu, and now she's got the chain on top of that, and she's wearing the hat, and she changed her hair, and she's got this crazy red makeup, and she's wearing all this different shit to the ring. Like at some point, you got to sit there and you just got to strip away the gimmicks, and you got to say, like, do I trust Natsuko to go in there and have a compelling match, or don't I? And if you don't, she can't be the leader of Oedo Tai.
No, and right now I certainly don't. She's being put in this top faction position.
Yeah,
and we can't be the only ones that just don't see it.
Look, I don't want to hate on Natsuko because again, she's a very sweet person. And I think that if they would just limit some of the things that she does, she could figure this out. But when Saki Kashima looks like the leader of a faction, and I'm saying this is Mr. Number One, right? That's a problem. You know, that's a problem. It is. But now with that said, you know, go get yours, Saki. Take advantage of the situation that you're in. And you did by taking out Julia with Revival. She gets these cheeky wins over these top performers, and it's the best One of my favorite gimmicks in all of professional wrestling. People like to say, well, it's very Yano-esque. And, like, if you're new to Stardom or you're trying to find that Bushi Road comparison, I can live with it. But
Sure.
There's this comedy aspect and to Yano that's just over the top, and he's a genius with what he does. And I don't think you can compare anybody to Yano with regards to that.
He doesn't eat a lot of pinfalls either.
He really doesn't. And even when he was champ, when he won the tags and the trios, he doesn't lose. It's always the other guy that loses. Saki, if one loses, right? If they're going to lose title. If the Stars is going to lose the artist title last year, Saki was taking the pin. But at the same time, like, she's just more of this, I got one move, and I just need 2 seconds, and you're done. And I don't know. I just love that because it's like they're playing to her strengths, which is she can be agile. We've seen it in the past with her in her first run where she can do all these kind of crazy little springboard things. They're not always the cleanest, and it's a little awkward, but she can nail them. She knows, like, the positioning to get there. Bulldog off the middle rope, all that type of stuff. But, man, she's got one move, and she can hit it out of 8 different situations. And if you catch yourself in one of those situations and you're not ready for it the way Momo hasn't been in the past, and Mayu hasn't been in the past, and Hana wasn't in the past, and Jungle wasn't in the past, and you get caught, then you got. And Julia got this time. And it's so hard, JD, to end a streak, to make a streak make sense. I've only seen it a couple times, and I will give Charlotte Flair credit of ending Asuka's streak at WrestleMania as being a good way of doing it. This is how you end a streak. You put her in against someone who she can get God on, and she gets God on. And
well, we can't forget that I believe Saki was Julia's first opponent in Stardom. There's a little history there.
I want to say that's right. Well, did they just say, is that right? Or is that confirm? Are you confirming that?
Well, I mean, that's the first one we saw, wasn't it?
No, it was her versus Hazuki was the first one we saw. Then it was Saki.
Okay, second opponent.
Second opponent.
Early opponents.
Very early. Oh, yeah, super early. And she's talking crap after the fact, too. Like,
good stuff.
Good to meet you. You just met the bean sprout. You know?
Yeah, right.
It's like
well, they're doing a lot of low-key Hana tributes, because that was Hana's little insult.
It was.
You saw the rainbow fringe. Poof fringes on a lot of the Tokyo Cyber Squad's gear, which is a nice little thing. I'm digging Konami's kind of horse mane on her boots.
She looks amazing.
It's awesome.
Start to finish. Just if we can do a little hashtag wrestling fashion here. I mean, why not, right? I don't have a show anymore. The silver and then the pink and the yellow pops on the bands around the shoulders. And then the cross on the back. It's just such smart layering of color that's not the primary. And I think they do a really good job with it. And Konami overall, aesthetically, outside of maybe Jungle, I think has the most complete look in all of Stardom right now.
Let's go on to July 12th and wrap this show up. Main event, trios match again. Donald Del Mundo. Main event Del Mundo is what they should probably rename as. With 2 rookies and Julia, the leader, 2.5 years in. And this occurred to me, and I'm wondering what your opinion on this is. Stardom's a little lack of the veterans. Mayu Iwatani seems to be that woman, and there's not a lot of people that are, above 25.
No, and this is very AJW in that regard.
Yeah.
You have your Mayus.
Rossi there too.
Yeah, right. Funny how it works, right? Although he had to build a lot when he lost. He's done a good job building underneath. But you're right. I mean, you forget that Momo's people that watch her forget that she's only 21, Right. Utami's sitting close to 24, but I think she's still in like 22, 23 range, right?
I believe you're right.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. She might be a year younger. Konami just hit 24, I think, So, yeah, you have a lot of young people in there, which is good because, man, there's a lot of good stuff going on right now. But you're right. We found Julia, Jumbo, and Micah in there once again, which I like that they came back with the same lineup on the second night. Like I thought maybe you're gonna put Suri in there and see what she can do, mix up the lineup a little bit. But no. Julia was like, you know what? I got us beat the night before. I'm now going to go into this, and it's Riho and Stars on the opposite side. Charlie Kidd and Tam Nakano.
What a trio team that is. This match went 17-46. I got this in 2 halves. Riho looking like the AEW star, worldwide star that she is, this first half, she looked phenomenal in this match. Best she's looked in Stardom, arguably. Julia with the second half, it was all about her to finish up the match. And this is where we got the awesome Tom Nakano mixture there to tell their little story. Cut to the team promos that we went before the show started. I just want to talk about stars here. You got Mayu and company. They're being sparkly stars. They're like, we're all putting on some muscle mass. We're gonna get stronger. We're gonna power up. And they're doing their old, raising their arms in the air all the time. And Tam's folding her arms. She's not happy, and she's like a second or two off of them all, very unenthused. And they all kind of look at her like, "What's wrong with you, Tam?" She's like, "Oh, what's wrong with me?" And she goes up to the camera, shows the bruise. 3 weeks ago, this was. She cuts a great promo. She's coming after Julia. This could have been on July 11th, and she was simply waiting for this one. If I'm not mixing this up, that's fine. It's still relevant to this match. And the second Tam got in that ring with Julia, she went after her like a bat out of hell. They went to blows. This is your white belt picture. This is awesome.
They're not even at this point. They're not even slated to meet each other for the white belt, and they went into this match selling a show that didn't exist yet. Mm-hmm. How exciting is that? And again, they were playing off each other on social media because of what happened the week before and the bruise, and I get all that. But man, you put these two in the ring, and it really made me think what could have been if Arisa lost the title to Julia in a more conventional type of way.
Sure.
It's not so easy for me to think that they would have skipped over and gone Arisa versus Tam, and Julia's first loss would have came to Arisa in her hot momentum type of way. It was like, you look at these two and you're like, wow, now that Arisa's kind of out of the way, Tam gets to really kind of cement herself as number two. And then she comes out the way she did last night, and it's just like, okay, I'm 100% on board with this. Like, this Tam, this is going to be a fun Tam. This is going to be a different type of Tam than we've ever seen before. You know what I mean? And she's the internet's boyfriend or girlfriend. So now she's got the internet on her side as well, playing to that. So, now she's got the fandom behind her, and she's got this like crude attitude where she's like, just no fucks given. Like, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to hurt you. Hell yeah. And I'm going to do it in purple. I'm going to look great.
So this is interesting. I don't know if you've noticed this whole fans being back thing, and the Japanese fans have been asked to not cheer, right? Not make screaming and loud noises kind of situation. So it's like a slew at the PGA Tour, right? You're watching the Masters on TV. They're clapping after all the moves. Well, I don't know if you've noticed this, but when there is something so compelling, whether it's a heel actually doing heel things that people genuinely hate, or when you get a mixture like what we saw here with Tam and Julia, and there was even a moment where Riho just was lighting the house on fire, the crowd started stomping and clapping a lot louder. So there's these little audio cues that slip in the fans just can't help themselves situation. Mm-hmm. And the Julia Tam mixture was getting that kind of reaction. There was a few woo moments that slipped through the crowd, and you could tell they were just like, okay, I'll stop right away. Yeah. And that's how you know that they've built up something quite well. So, post-match, we get the White Belt Tournament Challenge, and boy, did I go through a slew of emotions on this one. First, Julia wants hers after Cinderella. She wants that belt. Claims she's undefeated. We'll get into that in a second. It's quite funny. Tam grabs the mic, and she goes snap crazy, which was an awesome, weird promo. Yep. So she grabs the mic. Her hair's like in front of her face. She's kind of swaying side to side. She goes up to Julia. She starts talking to her, and she puts her finger underneath her chin. Come on, Julia. You worried about me, in her face, and Julia throws her down, like pie faces her, and then all of a sudden you go, you bitch! I promised to Arisa that I'm going to have this white belt, and I'm not going to let you have it. I'm like, I am all for this. that is just, again, you said they were selling a match that didn't exist yet, and here you go. They're building it up, and I'm all for it. And then Tora comes out, and I'm like, oh, God. That was my thought. And she's claiming her shot based on she never got her shot at No People Gate. And I went, God damn it, she's right. She makes sense. I hate that.
Now storytelling is playing against me and what I want.
Exactly. I'm like, okay. So we're gonna get a 3-way. I don't want a 3-way. That's the last thing I want, because I want Tam and Julia. Well, Konami shows up and she plays the whole, whoa, guys, whoa. You know, don't shoot me. How about this? Put me in it, and we have a little tournament. Guys?
No, the four of us.
The four of us tournament. You know, 1-on-1. And then they're all like, okay, great idea. And Konami's like, great, I'm in. And she's out.
She just opted in right there after she already lost to Julia. It's like, yep, I'm just gonna opt back in right now.
Yeah, it was good. It was well played. Julia closes out, claiming again being undefeated. The rookies correct her, and she walks over there and bats him on the head. And like, no, guys, not how it works. So we got a new shtick here with Julia. Really funny. And I believe it's Tora versus Tam and Konami versus Julia as those first matchups. So we could very well get our Tam Nakano Julia. The last thing I want is Julia versus Tora in that tournament final. Which means it's probably going to happen.
I do love the fact that we have the coolest in Julia versus the most popular in Tam versus the biggest bully in Natsuko versus the most athletic in Konami. It's like the Spice Girls coming together to do a 4-way. I'm really excited about it.
Someone do a mashup picture of the Spice Girls with these white belt contenders there.
Whatever gets Jay from the Smack It Down pod off Pokemon, I'm 100% on board with that.
Right.
Love you, Jay.
So the last little tidbit here, and this match isn't up on Stardom World yet. We have found out, coming out of a certain triple threat match that isn't up yet, it's Mayu versus Konami versus Momo. I won't spoil the result there, but the post-match needs to be talked about immediately. Mayu calls out one Jungle Kiona to be her challenger for the upcoming show in, you guessed it, Nagoya.
Mm-hmm.
The sister, this is what I'm saying. The Sisters of Fate are calling yet again for the annual loss.
She's got to lose, right? She can't win. And I'm hyping, and I'm going to continue to. I think for the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to champion Jungle winning. I'm just going to build that up.
I think this is too soon, and this is why this is why this upsets me. You're making Jungle lose already this big show in Nagoya. There's no reason why she couldn't have a big advertised singles match against, I don't know, Shuri. Just spitballing a name out there, right? And she wins in her hometown, because I'm tired of seeing her lose in her hometown, first of all, and in big time title matchups on top of it all. It's very tough. This was a problem in the 80s, this is a problem in the 90s. Stop beating people in their hometown, right? Not rocket science. The other thing is, Jungle is arguably the biggest babyface in Stardom right now. Whether you like it or not, coming out of the events that have happened. There isn't going to be a person alive that doesn't want to see her win this match. Right? This is your opportunity to build Jungle up. Starting with the show in Nagoya, with a big time singles match, not this title match. Now, it's too late. They've already announced it, and I'm very upset. But this was the opportunity to get her to the main event level that everyone knows she is. Everyone wants that she is. And they're just blowing it right now to have her lose another big-time title match. This very much upsets me in a very different way. That's my take.
I'm with you. This could go one of two ways for me. Like, it depends. You know, if Jungle wanted to, if for Jungle, part of her cathartic, I don't know, ness her process is to go to Nagoya and lose in a high-profile title match because she knows the game, then and that was her call, then I'm cool with it, and we'll never know for sure, but I'm cool with that. Kind of get her back in the way of thinking. On the other side, Mr. JD, we all want her to win, and we all think it's too soon. So do they say fuck it and just pull the trigger? Do they just sit here and they say, you know what, it's going to come, everybody's going to be thinking one way, and we're going to come over the top and we're going to give her the title, and it's going to be such a surprise that we're going to sit here and man, I used to talk to Kay about this because it's a slow build, and we're going to incorporate Momo because of course we are, and we're going to have this whole thing, and we're going to boom, 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 boom. It's going to push out to the anniversary or Hana's 1 year, and we're going to do all this. But then we're anticipating something that we know that's going to come, and we're going to feel good when it does finally pay off. Or do we just need the shock treatment? Do we just need to be punched into the pool? Then that's kind of where I am on this, and which is why I'm kind of on the idea of championing over the next 2 weeks, Jungle becoming champion, is sometimes you can't dip your toe in the water and then continue to go in inch by inch until your head's submerged. Sometimes you just need to run and do a cannonball. And this might be one of those times. This just might be one of those times, like ripping a Band-Aid off, where we just got to pull the trigger on it, give her the title, have everything the Jungle character as we know it up to this point, we just shred it apart. And moving forward, it's a new frontier with Jungle Kyona. And whether that's her taking over TCS in a more prominent role, whether that's everything that she's learned up to this point, putting herself and Konami in a position to be looked at as the forefront winners of the Stardom roster, I don't know. I don't know what it all leads to after. That's their job to make me invest after the fact. But, man, you're going to put her in Nagoya, and we all know what's going to happen. And then it doesn't.
Kaniku Buster kick out. Mayu hits the moonsault.
probably the finish, right? But
all right, I'll bite.
Yeah.
Let's say the trigger's pulled on Jungle Kyona.
Yeah.
We just saw Evil win the 2 titles. 1% chance. It's as high as I'm going.
Okay.
There's always a chance, okay?
Yeah.
That Jungle gets her day, and you've made her red belt champion at the middle of summer here in her hometown. Great. I am 1,000% behind that move.
Yeah.
I'm okay with a shock to the system. I'm okay with doing something like that. I got no problem with that. The problem is they've beaten me into the ground where I see Jungle title match in Nagoya. I'm so over seeing one of my favorite wrestlers lose in her hometown and coming up short time and time again. You get to the point, and this is a real phrase these days, you get the Goto treatment.
Sure.
You just never believe that they're going to win the big one, and then you start falling out of favor.
So here's what happens, right? She goes. You think she's going to lose. She wins. You get that satiation. You get that moment, right, of cheer. Like, to just think about the emotion. I'm feeling it right now, right? Hair is starting to come up on my arms. I'm getting a little choked up thinking about everything that Jungle means to everything that's happened over the last 10 weeks or so, right? And now she's in her hometown, and she shouldn't win, and she's certainly not going to do it for the red belt. And she beats Mayu. And this is her fucking moment, JD. This is her fucking moment. And what happens? Momo comes out and lays her the fuck out in the middle of Nagoya's ring, takes the title, shows it in her face, and says, I'll see you in a month.
Sure.
Or I'll see you at the 5-star,
That'd
whatever
be cool.
the case is. And so now we still get Jungle on the ground, in the canvas, eyes shut, in Nagoya.
So you're going Naito Wrestle Kingdom treatment here.
Kind of, yeah. A little bit. I'm going, it's conventional booking, right? And then you always have Utami you can play with later, right? Because that's your heir apparent, and you don't need to burn Utami versus Mayu again. You can do Jungle, Momo. You could even have the redemption arc. You could finally pay that off, although you don't have to. Sorry, Jay or Kay. We got to get names with letters here, but you got Jungle, who can either overcome Momo or lose it to Momo. And then you have either Utami versus Jungle, which then ultimately is Utami, or you got Queen's Quest, breaking each other down like the way they should, right? With Utami versus Momo for the red belt at some point. So either way, you're good. The red belt's in good hands if Jungle wins. And if you're just going to pull the Band-Aid off, this is a hell of a way of pulling that Band-Aid off.
Sure, and we can't forget about the Kagetsu last way out match where Jungle got the huge win, the huge rub. She's going for the red belt. That did happen. So in storyline, this had been building. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not taking that away. It is there. But if this is just another way for her to lose a big time title match in her hometown, I'm going to come on the podcast in a few weeks and I'm going to eviscerate that match. I'm going to be incredibly done. It's going to be what I'm about to do with the Evil match. That offended me on a way different level because I guarantee this Mayu Jungle match is going to be 4.5 stars, guaranteed.
Right.
You can't tell me that Kiona and Mayu aren't going to be triple motivated for this match to be nothing other than a women's match of the year candidate coming out of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, I will eviscerate booking, but I'll come out and go, this match was fucking awesome and you must watch it.
Yep.
Because that's what Jungle always gives us.
I mean, her and Nagoya is like guaranteed. Doesn't matter who she's up against. Jungle in Nagoya. And look, and you can't say, well, home field advantage because when Saki goes to Shimane, it's not like, the red carpet's coming out. It's a cool building, but that's about it. But when Jungle goes to Nagoya, it means something. It's a destination we look for every year. And, man, they pull that Band-Aid. I'll give them all the credit in the world. I would tell you it's the most ballsiest, in my opinion, it's the ballsiest of all booking decisions you could make this year is fast tracking her to the red belt. And I think it's fine. Like I'm totally okay with it. Mayu's going to be fine. Mayu's happy to give the title to Jungle right now. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
So, they fast tracked her. They do that.
And it's not even a fast track with Jungle. It has been a slow build of her getting something.
Not to mention that she was having a pretty successful 5-star before she got injured.
Absolutely.
She was competing. She was right there at the top third quadrant of the blue block at the time. So, it all lines up.
There you go. Well, JPQ, what do you think of the women's wrestlers of the year so far from the Red Leaf Retrocast?
Man, I'm telling you, there's a lot. And somebody that doesn't get a lot of love because she's over on she's over in DDT. But Miyu Yamashita is doing some really nice things. She's not having a consistent year, and she doesn't wrestle nearly as much as, say, like a Maya, for example. But, man, is she good. I think Maya is out and out the most top performer right now. I think In and Out. I think Ice Ribbon as a whole. I think they're just doing a tremendous job.
They've had the advantage of running shows consistently along really with the women of AEW.
Yeah.
That does matter.
It certainly does.
When it comes to the year's end.
Yeah.
Maya, Hikaru Shida, Tsukushi, Fujimoto, Britt Baker with her character. I know I'm putting everybody in friendship timeout, but I can't say they don't deserve it.
I can tell you right now, if I was looking at your rankings, I know you do it a different way, but if I was just ranking off feel, I think I would have Maya number 1. I think I would have Hikaru number 2, although I wouldn't be surprised if those two switch by year end. If Hikaru Shida continues doing what she's doing and elevating the likes of Penelope Fords and the Big Swoles of the world, right. And she's doing her job as champion out there, well, then we got a conversation for year end. But right now, they're both building their rosters underneath of them. They're both far and away the most talented in their respective rosters. Stardom has some work to do, but they've been on layoff, so I can't put them in the conversation. Although I could make some cases. It's been a really good time for everything outside of Stardom.
Mayu Iwatani is currently the top-ranked Stardom wrestler. Who do you see that's non-Ice Ribbon, non-AEW making a big push at the back end of 2020 here?
Non-AEW, non-Ice Ribbon. I think I'm going to say May. I'm going to throw May in there.
May Saruga.
Yeah, I think she's going to, because she's on pretty much every other day, it feels like. So she's going to get some points in the way that you calibrate things. Mm-hmm. She'll get some points there. And I think out of Stardom, I don't think Jungle loses another match. She certainly doesn't lose a singles match. I don't think she loses a tag team match. She probably loses an artist or a trios match at some point, but I don't think Jungle loses the rest of the year. So she's
currently sitting at 5 points with Maya Yukihi up in the 50s. A long way to go.
She's not going to beat her. No, nobody in Stardom is going to win your rankings this year. I just think that she can make a jump. She can get into the top 7.
Okay.
Okay,
top 7 is very possible. Mm-hmm. Did you watch that Miyu Yamashita Chris Brooks match?
I did. How about that? What did you tell everybody out there? Because on the Joshi pod, I got shut down for this. What did you say to me prior to that match?
Well, I said if Chris Brooks beat Miyu Yamashita, Chris Brooks will therefore be considered a Joshi wrestler. That did indeed happen.
And it did. And so now we got Chris booked. And hey, look, we got Aki too. I don't want to take anything away from Aki. We got two dudes representing the male gender in Joshi right now. It's what a time to be alive.
There you go. So there you go. You heard it from your folks. Jungle Kiona is going to make a big push at the back end of 2020, like the way you think. I, for one, Yoshiko, going to make a big push. Oh, yeah.
Where does she sit right now in your rankings?
Yoshiko has a solid 10 points with a lot of other wrestlers, and Arisa Nakajima is shooting up the board in a hurry. She's busted into the top 10. So
good for her. Nice to see Yoshiko back in the ranks.
That's what we're seeing there. JPQ, thank you for joining me on the Red Leaf Retrocast talking all that women's wrestling.
Thank you, man. Hey, appreciate coming on anytime.
Oh, that was great to talk with JPQ again. Been too long, man. Been too long. I was glad to have you on the podcast. But hey, it's Puro War time. Dragon Gate versus New Japan Pro Wrestling. This contest could be heating up. And it's certainly not scheduled for just one fall. This goes on all year. Dragon Gate, July 4th and 5th, Kyoto, KBS Hall. They also ran shows on July 10th and 12th. So I'm going to kind of approach these shows differently because it seems with kind of this condensed schedule and trying to get big events off quickly, at least in terms of Dragon Gate New Japan, we're getting more builds and more rivalry uptakes through the promotions. And in terms of Dragon Gate, which kind of makes it hard to keep up with a lot of the times, is a lot of these in-between shows could come across as too much like house shows. And that could be a chore to get through at times. It's too dry of a presentation to watch weekly. Maybe you got 2-3 shows in a weekend that you go bang, 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 and all three kind of run together and may see the same. So what I more or less did in terms of how to watch Dragon Gate is I not so much picked and chose, but hopped on my exercise bike. I watch these shows as I work out. At least on my exercise bike I got in my apartment here. And instead of kind of covering a match by the move basis, which I really like, kind of breaking down, I kind of looked at Dragon Gate a little bit differently this time. And I think it really helped in terms of what to take away and what to concentrate on. So July 4th and 5th shows. First show's back with fans for Dragon Gate here. And this came across like something you would see while watching golf with my dad. Minus the annoying "in the hole" yelling that you would always get. Here we get mostly the echoed silence from the empty arena shows with the occasional golf clapping for near falls, bigger move sequences. It's honestly very bizarre and will take getting used to. For me especially, it just doesn't. It still doesn't feel like wrestling is per se back. In a more interesting note, Dragon Gate running these shows didn't sell out. They only had 250-ish people, if I remember correctly what I read. I should have written in my notes now that I think about it. But whether it's a cultural thing with the Japanese people not comfortable going to shows en masse quite yet, and the fact that they are told not to scream and yell and cheer and boo for the fact that it might kind of aerosol the virus out there. It's going to take some growing pains for more than just the fans themselves being back. So, with that being said, Kota Minoura is the man of Dragon Gate for the past 2 weekends. He went to a 20-minute draw with Shimizu, had its ups and downs, sure. First half dragged, second half, that last like 7 minutes was so good. The story it tells for both guys has me excited and curious for both their futures. It's good stuff. He also went, this is Kota Minoura, he also went to a 15-minute draw versus Susumu Yakotsuka, the All Japan Junior Champion, which was a more methodical type match. One you would expect in that setting and from Yakotsuka. Kota Minoura seems to be the next young dragon to get some further spotlight heading into the back half of this year. Kind of what we saw with Dragon Dia last year and most of this year so far. So, and that would actually pay off dividends. So they're really building up Kota Minoura as kind of a breakout guy, which is very interesting because I like Minoura. He's got I think the term is danger pants, danger trousers, something like that. Look it up. July 4th, Team Dragon Gate match, Kai and Yamato taking on Masaki Mochizuki and he's back, Susumu Yakotsuka, 13-minute match. Yamato was super on form here, coming off his MVP showing during King of Gate. This was great. Kai, on the other hand, was doing a bunch of Keiji Muto spots, which seemed odd to me in perspective. Either way, the match was starting to reach that next gear, and then out of nowhere, Yamato hits his Frankensteiner pin, catching Mochizuki off guard. And all of a sudden, the big bad Terminator seems to be on a losing streak losing end lately. Something interesting to pay attention to, surely going forward. Yamato also pinned his nemesis BB Hulk in the main event on July 5th after Eita missed and cracked his teammate with a super kick. A disaster for RED, but a big win for Yamato over Hulk. As, that storyline mostly continues. Yamato is looking like a fucking star lately. He's really impressed me. Besides Kota Minoura with the Young Dragon getting that spotlight, I would say the big takeaway dude coming out of the two weekends, just in pure, really keeping the energy about him, is Yamato. And then, from July 5th itself, Doi Yoshi, that's Masato Yoshino and Naruki Doi. You want to talk a power team here versus Team Dragon Gate. This is the team of Dia and KZ. This goes to a no contest, 12 minutes, 5 seconds. Now, I know what you're thinking. Been on this podcast in the past and saying, fucking RED interference after a long match. But this wasn't a long match. This was 12 minutes. And the story still continues of Eita not only wanting the Dreamgate title from Naruki Doi, but he is still gung-ho on Yoshino. So in all intents and purposes, this match was destined when you see the tandem of Yoshino and Doi teaming together. Destined for Eita to get involved. And fuck he did. Because when this match got kicking, this match was awesome. I love KZ. Dia's the guy on the rise. Who better? Other than Yamato, maybe, but he's also Team Dragon Gate. Who better to make Dia look like $1 million than Yoshino? 10 million yen than Yoshino and Doi. This was a big recommend match. This was the match of the weekend, 2 weekends in terms of Dragon Gate. This was a DQ finished on well. The match didn't go 15, 20 minutes plus to end with a DQ. The story matched up. This made me hate Eita specifically for messing this great matchup. This was a big thumbs up for me. And then finally, Shuji Kondo, formerly of Wrestle 1, is now officially in Dragon Gate. He's back. I don't think he's been in the promotion since like 2004 or something nonsensical. Naturally, he's joining Team Torimon. Dragon Gate as in the promotion teased X for both nights. Both nights were for Kondo, unsurprisingly. They did try on the July 5th show to say that it wouldn't be Kondo because Dragon Kid has a mystery partner. And with the history of Kondo and Kid, for those that don't know, it's more or less Kondo's blood feud back in the day, and he would never do that. Well, he's burying the hatchet here to team with them, and that did happen. That was a good match with a tag team versus Ben K and Jason Lee. So it was really fun also seeing Shuji Kondo go head to head with my man Yoshida. Just big bodies of meat bouncing off each other, really hitting the jerky hard, one might say. Yes, I said it. Come at me. Or not. Fuck it. This is Suplex Bukkake now. I want to see Lariat Bukkake. Because that's what Shuji Kondo, Yoshida, and Benkei, that's just hard meat all day long. Yes, he tears heads off with the King Kong Lariat. Shuji Kondo looking great coming back into Dragon Gate. I love this. It's a good kind of top guy injection. Yeah, he's a little on the older side in his early 40s, but he can get one run in. And if Eita isn't the man to take down Naruki Doi, I am all for a Shuji Kondo title run here. So, July 10th, notable Benkei versus Jason Lee. They go to a time limit draw of 15 minutes, so the elevation of someone going to a draw against Benkei, as in the Strong Machine Jays of the world, Jason Lee gets the big time limit rub there. And then July 12th, tag team match, Team Torimon, Doi, and Kondo defeat the team of RED, that's Shimizu and Eita. This one did not end via the King Kong Lariat from Shuji Kondo. This ended via Naruki Doi rolling up Eita in a flash style 1255. Of course, where would I be without mentioning Kondo Shimizu is everything you want it to be. So yeah, the Eita Doi and the injection of Kondo into Team Torimon with Shimizu kind of being on, he wasn't on the losing end here. Very interesting. This was a match I have been critical in the past of Dragon Gate, not doing enough to get me invested in feuds. With Eita and Doi now going toe-to-toe with their various factions, and seemingly one getting one up on another at the end of these tags, it's a low-end way to get me interested, but at least it's more than what they've done in 2020 so far. So I say it's a step in the right direction, even though it's more or less baby steps. And then, as I was wondering, what are they going to do when they just have the Dreamgate title match heating up? Well, the main event of the last night of the 2 weekends was Team Dragon Gate, Jason Lee, Kota Minoura, so two guys that have gone to big time limit draws, and then my main man, Casey. They defeat the team of BB Hulk, Sakamoto, and Yoshida. And when you say Hulk and Sakamoto, you immediately think this is going to scream a Twin Gate title match set up for a future show. 1440, Kota Minoura gets the pin over BB Hulk. So a huge win here. And post-match, naturally, Casey's actually on the mic, and he is the hype man. And he more or less challenges for the Twin Gate titles, but as Kota Minoura will pick his partner, and he picks Jason Lee, not Casey. So the two young guys that got the big elevation over the 2 weekends are now going to challenge for the Twin Gate titles. I am very much for this match. That's new blood going for titles. It's not out of the realm of possibility Hulk and Sakamoto lose the titles. However, I'd have my doubts because these are two young dragons trying to reach that next level still. And in terms of kind of a hardcore, toast style presentation, it's very doubtful that Minoura and Lee will win, but I'm very interested in seeing how it's presented nonetheless. So, 2 good weekends from Dragon Gate in their presentation and getting things done and hyped for the future. The pushing of young talent. That's what we're seeing. It's kind of been their MO for the better part of 2020 and the back end of 2019. And it's a very exciting time to be a Dragon Gate fan, despite there could be more being done to get a fan base hyped. It's still very much kind of in an old school presentation that way. But did New Japan Cup Final and Dominion overcome? Let me play the oh so generous Naito music and we can get that going. Yes, alright. New Japan Cup Dominion. New Japan is back, baby, with fans. But first, before we talk about the finals and the controversial Dominion show, just a little update from the podcast perspective. Day 6, Taichi defeats Ibushi via full ZSJ interference and using the Iron Glove, clearly building up that tag title match. 1808, I'm loving main event Taichi. I love the interference here. It was very concise, to the point. Taichi gets the glove. They built it up well. He cracks Ibushi, and this really gets that Iron Glove, the Iron Fingers, over as just this killer fucking move. Very enjoyable. And Taichi showed up to work. When he's in the ring with guys that want the best out of the man, Taichi seems to get up to that level. So you kind of got to make the guy, unfortunately. Evil won his match. Also note, he is indeed becoming more evil, dare we say. I actually missed it the first time, but in this match versus Goto here from day 6, he stomped on his little Gotos, which led into Evil winning, and he kind of cut a promo after the match saying he'll do whatever it takes to win, blah, blah, blah. Other results were Yoshihashi defeats Bushi, and Sonata defeats Sho. Day 7, Hiromu Takahashi defeats Tomohiro Ishii, 19 minutes, 12 seconds. Hiromu's loud, yet seemingly ineffective chops were very cool in this match. Ishii, despite being shorter than Hiromu, played being the brick shit house he is, just barreling through all of Hiromu's offense. Very enjoyable. I loved the moments specifically where Hiromu would be fighting back and really trying to knock Ishii down with the power of his own, only to get his head decapitated via the Chosu-like clothesline that Ishii likes to do. That big moment kept getting closer and closer as the match went on, as Hiromu would kind of go to a different well set each time before trying to chop the tree down again. So, or another clothesline himself. The moment did come after a headbutt of his own to Ishii, then finally gets Ishii to the mat with his own power lariat. Ishii did kick out of the first time bomb, looked to come back before meeting Hiromu's brainbuster flatliner combo, which was a totally sick combo move, to say the least. Hiromu follows that up, finished Ishii with Time Bomb 2 for the win. A great match. It made my top 10 matches of the year easily for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think the Nagata-Suzuki match was more fun, and I think the setting between the two guys in the empty arena was better for Nagata and Suzuki, while this match was all about a different sort of story in the same environment. I'm gonna have to think hard about which one was over which in terms of probably in terms of the wrestling match quality. Ishii Hiromu brought it more, but goddamn, that Nagata-Suzuki match was so much better. I'm finding myself more and more thinking about comparing it to the Moxley-Suzuki match, which is very similar, just with a little bit more oomph and pizzazz about that one. So, gonna have to think about that one more. Okada defeats Ishimori via the stupid $100 Nightmare move that he's doing. It looks like shit. It feels like shit. It's slow as shit. Okada did not work faster at all. He did not work to help out Ishimori in any way. It was all about Ishimori just trying to speed up the match at his intervals that he possibly could. But it's an Okada match in an empty environment. Not feeling it. Pretty sure Sonata totally cheated to beat Lord Taichi I seem to have blacked out all memory of this disaster of the match. So I guess Lord Taichi's going for the tag titles at Dominion. Other result was Evil beat Yoshihashi in 2 minutes, as everyone should, as Yoshihashi basically tore his leg in half, and Evil beat him with the Scorpion Chosu Lock. All LIJ Cup semi, except Shingo, of course, because he's the Dragon Gate guy. Day 8. Kawato returned to New Japan after his long excursion in Mexico, and he's now the way to the Grandmaster, aka Master Wato, a crouching tiger hidden dragon dude with lots of blue and blue hair. Is this goofy or just right? I'll let you decide. Evil versus Sonata. It's not my favorite match I've seen from them. Maybe it's a little better because of this new attitude from Evil he's developed in the tournament. They certainly went 50-50 in the match, but as Sonata slowly gains that upper hand, Evil goes to his game and to be, well, more evil. Although even at the start of the match, Evil was trying everything he could to try to gain a slight advantage. So the ring story was interesting, but it never seemed to click. He tried attacking after a handshake, tried attacking after getting to the ropes, tried to sucker punch poor Sonata, both in which Sonata did not fall for this. Like he's known about Evil's intentions, so he didn't come across as stupid. Slight ref bump, and in the and then Evil purposely throws Sonata into the ref later, so a second ref bump, goes full Evil, low blow, baseball chair swing, another stomp to the nuts like in the Goto match, hits the STO, pins Sonata. Not a fan. Okada defeats Hiromu, and this was a tale of two for me. Much like the Ishimori match, Okada in control, on board. Every match from Okada in this tournament has been a bust. Hiromu in control. This man's crazy. I can't take my eyes off the screen. Because Okada's not in control and making the match a snail's pace. So basically, Okada will wrestle his style no matter what, and it really doesn't work in the empty arena setting. Why he couldn't meet Hiromu's style even halfway in the match is a deterrent to a today's style Okada match. This was yet another example of this issue. So let's get into the New Japan Cup final, boys and girls. Master Wato defeats Dookie. Wato's terribly dyed blue hair and low rent pants needs a serious upgrade. He really looks more like he belongs on a knockoff Boo Berry box of cereal. But the match itself was actually really, really quite fun, I feel. Doki played the crazy Batman doing his version of high flying, because, lucha stuff. And then this was the Wato showcase. Wato busted out a corkscrew plancha over the top rope. He even busted out a feliner before hitting his finisher, the spiral tap, of all things. So the Grandmaster might also be a 3-time World Karate Champion. I don't think we can dispute this could be fact. Post-match, fellow Suzuki-gun member Kanemaru attacks Wato post-match and looks to beat his ass, but then Tenzan makes the save. I find this all very okay and quite interesting. I think his look is very goofy, but with Wato's junior-type moves in the ring, getting kind of settled in an undercard, mid-card type role, I think this is good for the guy. He's pretty goofy looking himself just in general. Maybe they could have put a mask on him, Desperado Bushi style, to at least give him a little bit less of a goofy character setting. But Junior Wato going against Suzuki-gun 1-by-1, going in with tag matches with some of the old men, count me in. I'm all for it. And going out on a limb here, this match was better than the main event, Evil versus Kazuchika Okada. 31-52 this fucking match was. This absolutely sucked. This match was horribly boring. Evil works the arm for like 10 minutes. Okada does his shtick for a while because it's an Okada match. Seemingly no goal is being worked on here. The near falls have no merit to him, I felt. It really just feels and looked like killing time. And that is worse than egregious booking to me, is when it just looks like you're heading nowhere. Before Okada can hit his Rainmaker, Evil counters into a ref bump just mid-match. Whatever. Evil saunters some. He gets some chairs in the ring, makes a little pile, hits Darkness Falls. I guess this was their callback to their G1 match from like 3 years ago, in which Evil defeated Okada this way, or similarly. But yeah, no hurry from Evil here. Like, not a care in the world. It's only the world's greatest IWGP champion of all time, and it's almost impossible to beat the guy. But don't worry, I'm going to walk and put up my card deck construction or my card tower for you guys. So, naturally, Okada kicks out. 21 minutes, Okada hits some Rainmakers. If I have the time wrong, it's hardly the point. The point is, there's still plenty of match left. And it just keeps going. Horrible 100 pesos nightmare submissions. Even this just kills the match further. By this point, I am begging for something to happen in this match. And sure as shit, here comes the interference. And it's from fucking Gato of the Bullet Club of all people. And it's not even a good interference distraction spot. He just gets on the apron, just keeps the ref chilled out. And this is the move that kept Evil from basically getting the match. Well, he lost because he passed out to the choke. But whom shall hit the ring but the Tokyo Pimp, Yujiro Takahashi? He hits his little plunge maneuver on Okada, and then they just leave like yesterday's garbage, like nothing happened. And the match just continues. It's so weird and out of place. Why this couldn't be at the end of the match to lead to the finish, I don't know. Maybe it had something to do with the angle afterwards. But yeah, if you fell asleep at this point, I wouldn't blame you. Okada kicks out anyways, because the match must just go on. Another ref bump occurs, and much like what we saw in the Goto match for Evil, he just nutshots Okada because I guess he saw Shinsuke Nakamura versus the AJ Styles feud from a few years ago, because he's all about his callbacks from a few years ago. Yeah, so he just, kicks Okada in the balls, reverses it, stomps on his balls, and then STO for the win. Just awful. So boring. I think I fell half asleep just reviewing that match. This was the worst match of the Puro 4 weeks that I saw. This was borderline offensive because there was just nothing in it. There was nothing to it. 31-52 to beat Okada. Whatever. It was just there. So, post-match, Evil calls out Naito. Naito does his thing. Quebron. Calls for the LIJ fist in the air, because, hey, they're going to have a match tomorrow night for the 2 titles. Evil meets it with the Bullet Club symbol, takes down Naito with the STO, and then Gato and company return out all smiles and some cheap boot shots before Hiromu and LIJ make the save. Lame heel turn here. Lame match. Bullet Club had minimal impact to the finish. They just saved the match from ending, but then they left. So it was just to set up this little Bullet Club signal turn. And then it was paid off in one night, because that's what New Japan does. This probably should have been saved for... You know what? I'll save that thought in a second here. So yeah. Evil joining Bullet Club is ultimately fine, because Bullet Club needs the top card talent. Helps Bullet Club out on its current state. Raises Evil's stock here surely. But holy fuck, it was a boring match with a boring heel turn. That's my thoughts on that. And then, before I get into the 2 matches that I really did enjoy, I'll go ahead and say it. Evil versus Naito also sucked ass. I did get some laughs out of it because I did watch it with Discord buddy Omega. I'm sure he's listening now. We laughed our asses off in this match. The first 10 minutes were kind of okay. Naito was kind of baffling to me. He didn't seem all that interested in fighting Evil, even though his best friend of 5 years and LIJ member betrayed him in the faction for arguably the most hated faction in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Evil tried to stall for time with no crowd, so they couldn't get heat, and then this was the most fire we saw in Naito in the entire match, was him meeting him outside the ring with the dropkick. They brawled a little bit outside. The best thing in the match was Evil going over to Milano. He's a commentator for New Japan, and he's Evil's biggest fan. He always has little merchandise. Evil actually takes his little toy sickle and breaks it in half, and you get boos from the crowd. And you got more boos when Milano decided to hop the rail. He's betrayed. Evil kicks the shit out of him, throws in the rail, and then the camera pans back to Milano, kind of shaking his head. And it's like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. I fucked up. I marked out a little bit. It was great. That was the best part of the match. And I was laughing hysterically for the entire time, because every time I thought about Milano marking out for himself, and the fans actually booing, that was the real heat. It should have been Naito, the more you thought about it. How could Naito not just want to kill this fucking guy? Your best friend betrayed you in the group for Gedo. And Gedo, ultimately, what I have an issue with isn't the fact that Evil won the titles. I'm more offended that it was 31-52 or longer. No, it was a 38-minute match. Who am I kidding? This match went 38 minutes. It was boring as fuck. Naito did bump his ass off. He got his ass kicked in this match. There's no doubt about that. That shin breaker through the table was fucking brutal. But ultimately, we got the same fucking Evil formula, right? We got multiple ref bumps, one with Gedo, followed by a second interference round. And what doesn't do it for me is Evil's sauntering through the match. It's a bad formula that takes all the air out of the room. It doesn't really have me booing. It just has me begging for something more exciting to happen. And let me tell you, Evil Dick doesn't have me wanting more. I don't want more Evil Dick in my life. Although Dick Togo is pretty hilarious. This match came across as either boring or funny. And another funny moment was Jado on a ref bump walking down, and he takes a million years to get down there, and then boom, here comes Ishimori with a huge smile on his face, running by him. I'm gonna go fuck up Naito. Hilarious again. And that interference alone then got me bothered about the previous night. Okada beat Ishimori in the New Japan Cup. Ishimori should be the man getting elevated to go against Okada. Okada beat him out of the cup. We're going to get a new guy in Bullet Club. I'm going to go fuck up Okada because we're going to do a blood feud type situation here. And Ishimori is 1,000 times more interesting than fucking the Tokyo Pimp. Okay? So there's that to consider in my frustration and anger. And then every match and every heel turn that we've seen involves joining Bullet Club and being the de facto leader, which now is going to involve Gedo. It's focused around Gedo. I was fine with Jay White because he's such a fucking good wrestler and he's such a good shit heel, right? But with Evil and his sauntering and doing fuck all makes this ever so more apparent that he's just going to he's a Jay White replacement. And that's not good. So, Evil wins the 2 titles. The long-term storyline seems to be eventually the rest of Bullet Club, the Gaijins, will be able to get in and we'll have Bullet Club versus Bullet Club. You could have done this without Evil joining Bullet Club. You could have had Evil just utilize Bullet Club taking care of Okada, okay? And then eventually you have Jay White coming back, and let's just assume Evil holds on to the titles for a while. He has a title shot in his back pocket still. You can still do the Bullet Club versus Evil feud. On a further note, Evil did not look main event worthy. He's not looked main event worthy. I get that they pushed a lot of new talent on the show on this night, and it came across differently to a lot of people. I was very much for most of them. This was not one of them. Again, I'm okay with the Evil double title win, but all of the things surrounding it as a whole package, as a dick package, you might say, isn't flowing well. It's not hitting the wall the way it should. And if you were gonna have Dick Togo come in anyways, Evil and Dick Togo is the answer. You don't need Bullet Club involved. And then that could lead to, if you're gonna bring up some young lions, them joining the Evil Club, you could have a Bushi turn, all number of things. The Bullet Club's been around since 2013. They still got the Gaijin in the back pocket. There's no reason you can't have Yujiro as kind of a throwaway guy during this time, or Yujiro and Ishimori being a tag team and working towards a bigger goal and feuding with Okada. Everything seems so right on paper. So we'll see how this turns out in the end, but I am not optimistic. Now, what I am optimistic about is Shingo fucking Takagi and Sho. That match was fucking the tits. I busted out more than my sock for that one for the Suplex Bukkake podcast. That totally exists. Shingo selling the arm, Sho looking like a beast. This just played further off their New Japan Cup match. This time Shingo does he does escape the shock arrow after the cross arm pile driver. They went to lariats to each other. I gotta drink my beer because this one deserves beer drinking. Yeah, this was awesome. Shingo retains. He gets jumped by Desperado after the match. I'm all for Despy and Shingo. This feels like a real open title. It no longer feels like the never title exists kind of shtick. Sho looks totally elevated after the match. Another example of a guy looking great in defeat and looking up to level up and get to that next level. And Desperado getting a big rub. He got some pinfalls and tag matches. That makes all the sense in the world as well. Yo is out with I think he tore his MCL or something wild. So he's going to be out for a while. I expect the junior titles will be vacated. Not that they meant much in the first place. I want Sho to break out on his own now. There's no reason to really get Roppongi 3K back at this point now. Sho, I think, has leveled up above that. So yeah, definitely a big thumbs up from me with the Shingo Sho match. And my favorite match and a top 5 tag match of the year, it is the Dangerous Techers, aka Suzuki-gun team of Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. versus the Golden Aces, Tanahashi and Ibushi. This match was great. It was 29 minutes and I think 58 seconds. And I'm working off the top of my head with that one. I adored this match. Taichi showed up to work. Zack Sabre Jr. and the Taichi combination is outstanding. You got the technical worker along with Taichi with his kicks, and my favorite moment in this match was Taichi trying to do his whole Kawada shtick, which didn't work in the Muto versus Kawada pupil match. It was two guys trying to be their masters, but sticking with their shtick, and it never reached any sort of level. This was great. Taichi's trying to kick Ibushi, and Ibushi's like, "Get out of here with your weak shit." It was awesome. So, the match just built and built and built and built, and it built off the story of we got to take out Ibushi, and if we can take him out, just like we did in the singles match in the New Japan Cup, then we can rip apart Tanahashi's knees, because that was a big selling point. And sure as shit, as the match slowly went through the time phases, 10 minutes we're feeling each other out. The next 10 minutes we're trying to isolate. And then the 5 minutes after that, we're trying to go for the fingers, and it was constantly teased. And eventually, yes, Taichi gets the iron fingers. Bang! Nails Ibushi again, going back to their New Japan Cup match. He's out, man. He's gone. He's dead, right? And that was the turning point, and that led to the torture pick apart of Tanahashi. What they did was Taichi held Tana's legs, and Zack Sabre Jr. gave him like 6 dragging screws apiece, and then they kick him. Zack Driver for the win. I have this ranked as my number 3 tag team match of the year, and coming out of New Japan Pro Wrestling of all places, I felt like this match totally elevated the heavyweight tag titles as a legit important thing to earn. Yes, I would have liked to see a little bit more behind the Golden Aces in their run, but with a team of that kind of star power and Zack and Taichi representing Suzuki-gun, I think that this has really raised the stock of the tag titles. And if we get more matches like this, then Nautilus is very much in danger of my second best tag team of the year. If you want to guess, Omega and Page are the best so far. So yeah, I have my thoughts over the main event scene, but I have all of the much more anticipation of the open weight title going forward and the tag titles going forward, because I'm all about this main event Taichi run going here. I mean, this dude's got it figured out. He's 40 years old. He doesn't ever work out. He doesn't have to. He sings like an angel. This guy's hanging out with the Stardom girls, and he's taking his pants off watching, for all the fans. He's got Miho Abe. This guy's got it figured out. We should all strive to be like Lord Taichi. I bow to the man. New tag team champion. Now, what I'm not loving is the Hiromu Takahashi getting a title match at Sengoku Lord against Evil. That's just, to me, like, I love Hiromu, and I would love to see this match, but not in 2 weeks. I don't want to see this match immediately, because this comes across as, are they really gonna, does anybody buy Hiromu beating Evil? I mean, then again, I went into the Evil Naito match with I would have lost a lot of money betting on that one, because I thought Evil had zero chance to win, So Hiromu throws a mental breakdown fit, which I expected Naito to probably do and break character. Maybe not be tranquilo when your best friend of 5 years and fellow member betrays you and joins a faction. Maybe you should act a little less tranquilo, But instead, that was left up to Hiromu to have his the ticking time bomb exploded in emotions here. We're getting Sengoku Lord Hiromu versus Evil for the double titles. At the very least, I thought it would be like an Intercontinental title match or something or another, but that is not the case. And that's what we have to look forward to. And that will finish out the New Japan and Puro Wrestling. I was so offended by main event Evil and how boring and awful back-to-back main events were from New Japan. Dragon Gate has me more excited for their August show than New Japan having me excited for main event Evil. So Dragon Gate gets the win. That makes Dragon Gate the leaders of 6 wins to 3 versus New Japan. So New Japan and DDT got some catching up to do in their respective categories. And I forgot to mention in the Joshi podcast that Ice Ribbon also got the win for theirs. So that leads 9 to 4. Stardom has to make up, which makes sense. The promotions that were running more shows during the pandemic are way ahead. So now we got a babyface fight from behind in this little war here. So there you go. On to the retro section. Yes, buddy. JD is back. That's me with more retro wrestling. If you want to read my recaps over the retro wrestling I cover on the Red Leaf Retrocast, head on over to WrestlingNewsWorld.com. Look under podcasts. You'll find all of my written reviews. My first one was over the last episode of the podcast. You can read this one, but you are here to listen to some audio. So let's get this thing started. That was Bull Nakano busting in to the All Japan Women Classics, found over on Puroresu Dream and Samurai TV, episode 24. These matches take place from Korakuen Hall on January 5th, 1988, and the All Japan Women War Dream 2. We're at the second show from War Dream, Kawasaki City Gymnasium, February 25th, 1988. We start this show off now. Now, I would be mistaken in mentioning that. I would be mistaken if my Alexa would not make notifications in the middle. All right. Every Monday, at least for the past few weeks, the Discord of the Red Leaf Retrocast has been doing a lot of Joshi group watching, and that includes All Japan Women Classics watching, in which we together have gone down this journey every 2 weeks with me. So, 3WA World Championship match. It is Nagayo defending her 3WA title against Yukari Omori, Queen of the Tomahawk, from Korakuen Hall, January 5th, 88. Omori has a pompadour, donning full-on American football jersey and shoulder pads. It is quite the look. Horrible Yukari offense we have grown to cringe at, of course, and Chigusa Nagayo must bleed from that devastating Yukari Tomahawk chop. And then Yukari gets busted open later in the match via big high kick from Nagayo. Oh, it's beautiful. I love those high kicks, especially when they take out the reject Oakland Football Raiders player that is Yukari Omori. The match was built off being a pseudo shoot fight, which was really strange to me, where each person would hit a big clubbing shot, move, and then they just kind of fall to the mat. Blood loss played a huge role in this match. They beat the hell out of each other, and I was not a fan of this style coming off watching so much of that MMA shoot style stuff that I've been catching in the New Japan 90s watch that I've been doing. It actually finishes with a double knockout finish after the 13-minute mark. A test of strength is met by Nagayo with a shoot headbutt, followed by an Irish whip. They do double clothesline spot, and they're unable to make the 10 count. So there you go, double count out, or double knockout. They extremely sold how beat up the two were, and they were carried out of the ring, so at least that part made sense to me. Unable to walk out on their own power. So at least that was cool. That was fine. No more Yukari Omori title matches, please. 3WA tag title match. Bull Nakano and Kumiko Yamamoto, the champions. These tag titles change constantly in this promotion, and we never see the changes. Well, they're defending against the Fire Jets, and this one was at the Kawasaki City Gymnasium in February. First time seeing the Fire Jets team here. That is Yumiko Hota, yes. The formerly, I think, owner or head trainer of Actress Girls. Shout out to the Big Ed Joshi podcast. Yeah, Hota's teaming with Mitsuko Nishiwaki. If you don't know who Nishiwaki is, that is okay. I don't think many remember. What a nonsense match this was. First fall was quick. It comes off the electric chair crossbody combo from the Fire Jets, getting the first fall to choke out. First fall. And that triggers pandemonium among Gokaku Dome. That's Matsumoto's faction, if you're keeping track. As you should if you're a listener to this podcast. Nakano bringing part of a fucking guardrail into the ring, which triggers absolute pandemonium in the ring, as Tony Schiavone would say in WCW. So she brings this guardrail out. She chokes out Hota. The rest of Dome put the boots to the ref, because, you know, no ref is ever safe in an All Japan Women ring, especially with Dump Matsumoto's faction involved. Kumiko chokes out Nishiwaki with a towel on the mean side. Bull pulls Hota out to the outside, starts choking her with the ring ropes, like the apron ropes, and she gets a hold of her nunchakus from under the ring, and she just beats some ass. Needless to say, the Fire Jets had a bad time. The second fall looks absolutely brutal as Nishiwaki throws Kumiko to the ropes, goes down for perhaps a roll-up or a trip-up move, but instead she's met with a wicked, like, shoot stomp to her fucking face by Kumiko, and she gets pinned herself. So, 1-1 in this 2 out of 3 falls match. Side note, Nakano has changed her hair in between the time frame since we last saw her. She's no longer sporting the half-shaven kind of head blue hair situation she was going. She and Kumiko have kind of this almost perm, blonde and black mixtured hair, graduating from the Mad Max look to more of a, well, she's kind of skipped over the Fist of the North Star look. Now she's going for that kind of delinquent 80s style that was very prominent during this era in Japan specifically. If you want a little history lesson, the Bebop High School anime episode that we covered on the Red Leaf Retrocast months and months ago, we kind of go into more detail on what that culture was like and what it kind of looks like. It's pompadours and all that kind of stuff too. The third fall is rather pedestrian as it resets, goes 50-50 for a little while. It finished via Bull Nakano hitting a German suplex, pinning Hota. A good match, and can't wait to see more of this Fire Jets team going forward. Spoiler, see it again next episode. And then we get, you know what? I gotta drink a beer. You? Dump Matsumoto and Yukari Amori double retirement match. It is Dump and Yukari teaming up versus the Crush Gals. This was from the same February 25th, 1988 show. In short, greatest retirement match ever. First off, Chigusa naturally comes out to her screaming, adoring female fans, all chanting together, "Na, Gaio." No, it goes like, Chi, Gu, Chi, Gu, Sa, Chi, Gu, Sa. And they just, it's deafening. I played a little audio clip in the previous episode for that. Meanwhile, in the other corner, Yukari appears first, wearing what can only be described as, again, low-rent Oakland Raiders shoulder pads and jersey, and sporting an even better freaking pompadour this time around. Even has the little twirl in the front this time. Her partner, however, out comes Dump Matsumoto, gearing up in full demon samurai armor. We're going back to that hair versus hair match versus Chigusa Nagayo, accompanied by her faction waving the flags of war when they stood next to each other as partners in the ring to take on the beloved Crush Gals in their last match. To say the visual was strikingly unique would be an understatement. Both Yukari and Dump have their own histories and rivalries with the Crush Gals. Yukari winning the title and defending against Asuka, while losing to Nagayo was easily her greatest feat, along with her crushing and most devastating move of the 80s, her tomahawk chop. I jest, of course. Dump, meanwhile, her epic feud culminating in the hair matches versus Nagayo, and in general, her feud faction rivaling against the Crush Gals in general. The reason for the two teaming makes some sense due to Dump losing to Yukari in the 1986 Grand Prix, their little annual knockout tournament. Think of it as the early version of the G1 Climax or the New Japan Cup, for those that know what those are, which saw Yukari get stabbed in the arm from a fork thanks to Dump Matsumoto. It was hanging from her, and that's what kind of led to Yukari winning the title. So, keyword there is fork for future reference. Okay. On to the match. Here we go. Now that we have our history settled and recapped, the match starts harmless enough. Dump occasionally gets her cracks in, kendo stick included. The rest of the wrestlers do their thing. Yukari shows her incredible tomahawk chop to the forehead. Did I say forehead? I meant right shoulder, of all things. She clearly was aiming with the most pinpoint accuracy, hitting Nagayo instead of her skull. She puts Nagayo on a Mexican surfboard, of all things, and in that moment, Dump waltzes into the ring, waffles Nagayo in the ribs with a few kendo stick shots, and then the match was never the same from this point forward. It is the kill or be killed match, with Dump Matsumoto playing the part of the executioner. Her weapon of choice, the mighty fork. Nagayo's face stands no chance to the steel stabbing utensil. Dump parades around the ring, making sure to show the fans how much fun she's having, torturing another human. Nagayo, meanwhile, is bleeding. Women are screaming. We can see teenage girls hugging each other in fear on video in the stands, as Dump does what she loves the most, pure violence. Dump points to Asuka. Time for her stabbing. Both Crush Gals are bleeding. Good time to grab the metal trash can, thinks Dump. She proceeds to beat both of them with the can until the Crush Gals hit her back and make it 2-on-1. If you forgot about Yukari, by the way, guys, we all did. She's just standing there in the corner, chilling, as everyone has a fun, violent romp through the ages. For the ages. Brawling outside proceeds to happen. Chair shot to Dump from the Crush Gals. And, blood's now flowing like faucets. The match has reached a total fever pitch. This is awesome. And then the ref waves the match off. To Yukari's disbelief. Of all things, like there wasn't attempted murder going on. So anyways, Dump decides to get on the mic. I'm sorry, backtrack. Dump then decides Yukari deserves a good stabbing. So then Asuka leaps in to save Yukari, and this sets up a match restart. However, there is a catch. Dump, now bleeding from the chair, earlier, demands if Asuka wants to save Yukari so bad, she calls for Nagayo to step up and team with her because it's their swan song. Nagayo shockingly obliges her great rival in her retirement match. The match continues with now rivals as partners for a tag team match of 4 women going all out in the best wrestling they could possibly put on, in as quick a fashion as they could put on. I was even impressed with Yukari Amori, what she brought to the table here. I'm like, where the fuck was this woman for like 10 years? So yes, this was something they could all be proud of. Everyone is giving their literal blood, sweat, and tears in the ring at this point. The bell rings for the time limit draw, as both Dump and Yukari are now retired, tagging with each other, and then their greatest rivals. To say this match wasn't steeped in history, fun, and meaning would be crazy. This was simply the greatest and the end of an era, a lot may say. I am saying that. The music ceremony plays the two out, Yukari in soft tears, and Dump, naturally, with a smile on her face, seemingly with no regrets. Everybody takes moving on differently. As we saw with Devil Masami, just clearly not ready to retire. Dump would not step back into a wrestling ring full-time again until the early 2000s. A glorious All Japan women's end to one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. This All Japan women's journey, I knew of Dump Matsumoto's legends of the past prior to this cast, but going on this journey, she is indeed one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time and has proven to me that in-ring is more than just the wrestling. It is getting your character across. It is getting your character across in the ring, connecting with fans on more than one level. And to see Dump's smile during her retirement ceremony it brought a smile to my face. And even though she was only 25 at the time, due to All Japan's strict rules, this was a fantastic journey I went through. Yes, I love Devil Masami, I love Jaguar Yokota, but Dump Matsumoto has eclipsed them because she brought more fun to this journey with me. So I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of that. I vastly enjoyed recapping all of Dump Matsumoto's All Japan Women's career. We'll see her again in the late renditions of All Japan Women as they did their last-ditch effort in the early 2000s. But for the time being, my God, I'm so happy I saw all this. And now we got Bull Nakano and Manami Toyota and everyone coming up with a tear. This was the end of an era. Kokaku Dome, one of the greatest factions of all time. With that, I'm going to play the next set of music so we can get on to some New Japan Pro Wrestling through the 90s and kind of kick it up a notch. Alright guys, New Japan through the 90s. The other notable match I watched for fun was, well, it was from New Japan Pro Wrestling, actually. April 30th, 1992, and I know what you're thinking. We're in 1992. Well, not sure if it was just uploaded recently, which it may have been, but we're going to go with the fact I probably missed it. And when you know it, it's a 5-star caliber match. It is from the Best of the Super Juniors Finals, the third rendition. It is our boy, our man, Jushin Thunder Liger, in the finals against El Samurai. The story here is El Samurai led the table of the Super Juniors tournament, while Liger came in second and was the current junior champion heading in. Liger was looking to become the first to win while also champion. This match immediately gets started hot. Before the bell rings, El Samurai spits into the face of Liger instead of shaking his hand. Samurai immediately follows up at the bell by going straight to ripping Liger's mask to immense disdain of the crowd. Liger rolls to the outside to breathe, but Samurai follows and hits him with a stick or something. I couldn't really tell what it was. Samurai then tombstone pile drives Liger onto the floor and rolls back in to check with the crowd. Naturally responds with more intense boos. Once Liger re-enters the ring, he is met with another tombstone pile driver. Not a good day for Liger here. How will the junior champion fight back? Is the question now going forward. Well, Samurai beats down and abuses the ref counts, so good heel work here. And continues to go after the mask of Liger. Once in the corner, though, after X amount of time has passed, of course, Liger finally fires back, and this is where we see the anger and fire of a pissed-off Liger going after the Dick Samurai. A lot of dick jokes here. There will be no shortage of evil dick jokes on this podcast for a long time. Liger starts to obliterate El Samurai, going as far as taking the outside padding away and proceeds to powerbomb Samurai on the exposed concrete. This match is absolutely nuts. We're just getting started. Liger roll kicks the shit out of Samurai before ripping Samurai's own mask, so a little taste of his own medicine. All that's left of it is dangling around Samurai's own neck. This was a cool visual. Back to the outside, Liger leaps like a madman and hits a flipping senton onto Samurai from the top corner to the floor. Samurai is in now pure desperation to catch his breath. But Liger keeps the high flying going, connecting with one move after another. Samurai finally hits a reverse DDT, locks in a submission move to ice the match. This is actually brilliant pacing, in my opinion. And for Samurai to gain back some of his composure, this is great. Gets us all to catch our breath of what's been happening in the match. Samurai wants to end the match now because of how much Liger's pressuring him. Heads to the corner for a superplex. This was a mistake, as Liger will have none of this. The most Samurai does from this point forward is try to counter Liger's onslaught. Samurai almost catches Liger with a phenomenal near fall off a snap German, just, a quick move out of nowhere with a bridging pin. Liger avoids the last desperation move from Samurai. Liger finishes the very game opponent off with his second rope DDT, sets up for the Super Frankensteiner, hits it to end this epic. I have seen some phenomenal matches on this journey through the 90s to date, and I can honestly say this was not only the best match, while it's now also my favorite of the New Japan through the 90s journey. I implore everybody to seek this one out and put 21 minutes, 15 seconds aside to watch this. Now on to the main show. New Japan Pro Wrestling, May 17th, 1992, from Osaka Castle Hall. This show was known as Crush the Super Heavy 3 Overheat Night. Also on this card was Super Strong Machine, as he went on to defeat Masahiro Chono in singles action, but this was not in the archives, and this very much upsets me. Junior heavyweight title match is on the line. It is a return match, Liger versus Samurai. So interestingly enough, Samurai gets a rematch for the title, despite losing at the Super Juniors. This time shakes the hand of Liger before the match starts, so kind of strange on that end. We go to grapples. Samurai works the wheels of Liger, sporting a very epic slick white suit this time from Liger. Now, normally I would be loving a match like this, but the limb work does not pay off, unfortunately. It's simply a means to kill time. Where have we heard this before? Liger comes back, gets downed, and then escapes a choke. Liger does go nuts and pulls off a top rope moonsault to the outside, and immediately follows up with a flipping senton to the floor again. Surely, Samurai is done now. In fact, this is not the case. Match goes 50-50 for big move exchanges and continues this way to the finish. Samurai attempts his own dive and is met with a shote. Liger finishes this off with a big shooting star. Good night. First half I liked, but found myself annoyed. It meant very little. However, the finish was adrenaline-filled, and even the audience found a way into this match, as did I. So it wasn't a total loss. Definitely not as good as the 5-star match we saw. Great Oz versus Hashimoto Shinya. Shinya Hashimoto, our man. Well, this was a shock to the eyes. Seeing a mobile Great Oz, aka Kevin Nash, is certainly bizarre. Yes, the same Kevin Nash I'm going to talk about on Nitro here soon enough. He's doing things like leapfrogs, a running facebuster, lands on his knees, hindsight, 50-50, and being actually remotely interesting. Although his gear is very appalling. He's got silver sprayed hair with a slight perm along with the hideous green lightning bolts and green boots. But basically, this is an enhancement match for Hashimoto against the man twice his size. Wins via the jumping DDT after a comeback via his running wheel kick. There you go. Inoki and Hiroshi Hase teaming up again against, this time, Brad Renegans and Monsieur Rimbaud. Here we have yet another Inoki Hase tag. As was the previous show, it's all about Inoki's shtick, and the big uncoordinated Gaijins just being big muscle-bound dupes going through the motions. We know how this ends. Inoki wins. Pegasus Kid defeats Tiger Mask in this match here. Benoit is still Pegasus Kid here in New Japan, but without a mask now. It's real weird seeing him in sky blue pants and white boots, I must say visually. Tiger Mask here is quite young, but steps behind Liger on top of the junior chart currently. Benoit here is a running madman, but things go up tenfold when Tiger Mask backflips off Benoit's chest out of the corner. The following sequence was absolutely mesmerizing at this 5-minute mark, so here we go. Backdrop, drop kick, Benoit to the outside, Tiger feint kick fake, 619 for all you modern fans, over the top rope, onto the apron, back kicks Benoit, whom flies over the guard railing from this back kick. Tiger crossbodies from the top turnbuckle over the guard railing onto Benoit. Crazy stuff. They take a breather for a few minutes from submission holds to Benoit getting some offense in until another Liger comeback of fury involving a cartwheel splash counter off an Irish whip. Goes 50-50 again with some submissions and move exchanges. Tiger Mask reverses a super backdrop into a cover I always like counters like that in my wrestling. Benoit kicks out of this. They go to the Dynamite Kid Tiger German suplex switching spots. Benoit counters into a rolling clutch pin to win it. Match certainly had a lot of mat downtime, but when the action was dialed up, hot damn, it was exciting to say the least. Tony Halm versus Big Van Vader. Yes, our big Finnish guy versus my man Vader. All right, guys, ready for this review? It's a 5-star review here. Here we go. Maybe even 5.5. 5 3/4. Vader strong. Vader big. Vader clotheslines. Vader hits big body. Crowd like Vader. Halm kidney shots. Boo. More Vader big. Crowd still like Vader. Crowd want Vader splashes. Vader miss butt drop. Halm steals pin. Match fun. IWGP Heavyweight Championship match. Riki Chosu defeats Keiji Muto 15-55. For the hype and feel of this one going in, this match was a major letdown. I thought this was the match where Muto beats Chosu for the title, and it seems like every match in 92, I'm like, is this the one? Is this the one? Is this the one? This was not the one. The first 6 minutes was Chosu mat work on Muto. Then the next 6 was simply Muto getting his set of moves in. Finally, a sense of action and tension happens with Muto just getting bodied by Chosu. The champion tears Muto's head off with a couple more clotheslines to follow and simply pins him to the mat clean. Outside of a few key moves, this match lacked seemingly any large effort to it at all. There was no energy from the crowd either, so it wasn't just me. The story furthers now, at the very least, Muto can't beat Chosu and will need to dig a little deeper if it's to happen. AKA, Great Muta is coming. So, there you go. Next up are the matches in the archives from June to August 1992, including the Great Muta versus Riki Chosu for the IWGP title. This is at the G1, which is not in the archives, so I am for sure covering that match in the whole I also watched in 92 region, but I will move that to the end of the New Japan Through the 90s review, unlike from the beginning, which I normally do. So if you want to watch along, there you go. Not the best New Japan rewatch, but that Liger Samurai Best Super Juniors match is one of the best New Japan matches I've ever seen. So, on to the Nitro. Yes, indeed, we are back for more WCW Nitro. It is November 30th, 1998, from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Meanwhile, on WWF Raw, a cluster of 30-plus segments on a 2-hour show happened as Rock versus Al Snow for the world title is their main event of the evening. Oh, that sounds horrible. Anyways, this show wasn't that bad. There, of course, are some things that I vastly dislike on it, mostly involving Kevin Nash, but I got to say, despite the shows being 3 hours and ungodly long and feels like a chore to get through at times, these shows are coming across as more fluid and sensible, even though with the standard prior might not be the toughest thing in the world. But here we go. NWO arrive in 1,000 limos without Hogan because of his presidential totally for sure retiring to run the country. Because according to commentary, Hogan can't run for president and run the NWO at the same time. It's a real thing, they said. Meanwhile, Scott Steiner is without a shirt and sunglasses at night because that is normal Steiner attire. It is announced Hogan invented having... They're in the ring now. I should probably preface that, cutting a promo. It's announced Hogan invented having the largest arms in the world, so now Steiner is the leader because his arms are now larger. Okay, I died at laughing how dumb this all was. Made me laugh. It is announced that Scott Hall and a partner will face Steiner and, oh, wait for it, Horace. Hoorah. Hall is out of the NWO, but we must continue this for seemingly no reason. Conan versus Chris Jericho. Story was Conan beat Jericho on Saturday night. Saturday night main event. WCW Saturday night. Main event was WWF. Jericho tries so hard to get something out of Conan, then Conan reverses Jericho trying to hit him with the title, because Jericho's a cheater. Conan faceplants Jericho straight on the title in front of the referee, but hey, ref don't care. He's like, he brought it in. Conan pins Jericho to win the TV title. Hey, Kevin Nash's friend got a title, and Jericho hasn't re-signed his WCW contract at this time either, for the record. The crowd did explode for the title change, as most do. Nash, of course, has to come out and celebrate, and then Nitro replays Conan's rap video, and it's so super glorious. Let's see if I can't find this on YouTube right fast. Conan's rap video. I must. Oh. Nope. Wait. No. Conan rap video. Nitro. Let's see here. This looks like it. Here we go.
I carry my life around with me in the see-through bag y tú siempre me preguntas que por qué estoy enojado. Diferentes caras, etapas diferentes y los mismos que me odian dicen que son mis parientes. Vato, how you make this get down? Man, was the one is el nombre y the ones who freak the sound.
Okay, that's enough of that. Vato. That's great. Oh my god. All right, Ric Flair promo on Barry Windham and Bischoff. Ric Flair was on fucking fire when he came out. Abuse of power. Bleep me. They don't bleep him. You're an asshole. It was great. Ric Flair calls out Bischoff. Are you going to be able to beat Rick? Because he's an old man kind of thing. He's going nuts. He's turning purple. He talks up this match versus Bischoff so hard and so well. How is it possible that now I want to see this old man, quote unquote, beat Bischoff? Amazing. I highly recommend taking time to check out this promo from November 30th, 1998 Nitro. It's crazy. It's Flair being Flair at his best. Scott Hall now up for a promo, says he has no friends. He's all alone now, boo-hoo. And of course, Nash is out yet again. So that's Nash out twice on the show. Keeping track here. He thinks he's so cool. Nash says he'll be his Huckleberry. Because again, forget about the feud and betrayals. I'm so annoyed watching this unfold. Nash got thrown through a wall by Hall no more than 3 weeks ago. How can anybody possibly buy this? Raven and Canyon versus the Armstrong brothers, but of course we are continuing the Raven has mom problems and leaves mid-match. Canyon hits his shtick, as he says, and the flatliner, but is distracted by Raven leaving this match. He gets rolled up by an Armstrong. Woohoo. Must be nice to be Raven getting paid all this money to do nothing. At least the Armstrongs sold the win quite well. Mean Gene out to interview Bret the Hitman Hart, and here comes the pulled groin. Oh, we're getting more, and it's still glorious. Bret says Malenko tried to fracture his groin, and you fans don't understand, because none of you have groins. Bret is the best. He's got his doctor's note saying he can't fight, and that's when DDP comes from the crowd, gets in the ring, and he calls Hart a liar. DDP says he's been excellently executed, and Hart gets annoyed and says, okay, brah. Not that part, but if you want a match and to fight a cripple, then make the match a no DQ match. Each guy played their role amazingly. The heel outsmarted the DDP here. I love this. It is my favorite feud ongoing in Nitro, is Bret Hart's pulled groin going after the US title with DDP. Eddie Guerrero with versus Billy Kidman for, I think, the Cruiserweight title. LWO, of course, is involved. It's a lame rest-hold style match. LWO interference happens, falls off a cliff with Kidman getting Eddie after, I believe it was, no, he rolls him up, whatever. Shooting star or something or another. The point is the ref counts 2 and the bell rings, and then the ref has to recount 3 and the bell rings again. It was a mess of a time. Bischoff with Barry Windham come out to the ring. Windham is wearing a denim vest. It's unbuttoned with a leather jacket over it, and his belly sticking out. It's a hilarious sight to see. Promo about his usual nonsense calls out Dean Malenko to fight Windham because of the whole Ric Flair and the Horseman feud. The stipulation as if Malenko wins, even though Malenko accepts the match without knowing any of this. Bischoff will says if Malenko wins, he will wrestle Ric Flair, so he could have really just gotten Dean Malenko to wrestle with not revealing this part. But it's announced that Dusty Rhodes is, he's also in a leather jacket, of course. He's the special ref, and that's when Dusty Rhodes goes, "May's the best man win," as he looks at Windham. I think we can sense something. It's Dusty Rhodes, after all. Wrath versus some doof. Fan says, "You will feel Wrath's wrath." Brilliant sign, if I say so myself. I miss Lodi. Meltdown, it's all over, as well as Wrath after losing to Nash last week. I am sad. Sonny Ono with 3-time World Karate Champion Cat says to Saturn in the ring, "As a good black belt, I will not wrestle you, Saturn. Ono beat you. But if you beat Ono this time, I will fight you." Cat whispers something to Ono, and Ono's all of a sudden like, I see your plan. Well, they fight. Saturn hits a move immediately on Ono, knocks Cat off the apron, and that's when Glacier shows up to the ring. I don't know how Glacier knew of this plan on a whim, but Sonny Ono did not. Chronic kicks Saturn. Saturn does kick out of this move. Cat throws a chain to Ono. Ono misses punching Saturn with the chain, but as Saturn's about to hit the Death Valley driver, Ono places the chain in the pants of Saturn before getting killed. Cat and Ono are clearly geniuses as the ref DQs Saturn after seeing the chain. Brilliant stuff. Sonny Ono and the Cat are a brilliant tandem. I want to see more from this team. I want to see them move up in the world. Goldberg arrives in a limo and does the same 5+ minute walk through the garage, the back, and to the ring for a stupid contract signing. This was nothing. Kevin Nash citing number 3 on the night. Of course, Nash can't not be a douchebag for his goofy mannerisms. He's making his stupid faces. Contract says Goldberg will not defend the title before Starrcade, and then it's time for Crazy Bam Bam Bigelow to brawl. He's thrown out of the building. Didn't even get to the ring. I must note, Goldberg came out in 90s baggy clothes with a fanny pack, not the big gold belt. A bold choice for the champion we never see on this show. Rarely see, anyways. Booker T defeats Mike 50-50 with Luger last week. Enos, not a good match. Bigelow demands Goldberg fights him outside on the grassy knoll. Remember that phrase. Lex Luger versus Brian Adams. God help me. Terrible match. Ref goes down, Vincent interferes, and Brian hits a shitty pile driver on a chair. Luger kicks out late. Oops. And the match continues despite the ref counting 3 and puts him in the rack to a crazy crowd reaction. A reaction I will continue to never understand. I hate the wrestling on this show. Barry Windham versus Dean Malenko with Dusty Rhodes as a special ref, and just as I say that and just as I think it, short point, the wrestling in this match was fucking amazing. Watching Barry Windham on the NWA US title journey was awesome. This was what I missed. Windham here was wrestling for that paycheck. Big time, amazing chemistry between these two, all while Dusty is broken, fat, and old, meaning the poor man has to be a heel ref while also not being able to move. And after all of this beating, Dusty just calls for the bell as Windham's kicking Malenko's leg in the corner. Just signals a DQ. Whatever. A real rigmarole for Dusty Rhodes to betray the NWO out of nowhere. There's no reason for this at all. This made zero sense. Dusty dances, grabs his nutsack. You know, you could say he grabbed his dick togo, if you will. Exits. And this is when Bischoff gets in the ring, and he's screaming into the mic. Yells at him, says Dusty's fired, and Dusty's like, meh, whatever. I did as well. It is announced later via commentary that the WCW board has signed Bischoff versus Flair at Starrcade. We cut to all the horsemen in the ring prancing, including Flair, back on the mic in glee. This was a weird roundabout way to get to the starting line for their little Starrcade match. Steiner and Horace versus the Outsiders. Yes, they're back. Hall and Nash. That's Nash sighting number 4 on the night. He's outdoing Mean Gene. Commentary keep emphasizing it's been over a year. It's been ages. It's been who knows how long since Nash and Hall last teamed together. For the record, it's only been 6 months since the Slamboree pay-per-view back in May. Anyways. Also note, no WCW ref will be in a Steiner match because they fear him, so the NWO has their own ref. Yes, 2 heel Rudos referees in back-to-back matches here. Hall spends 6 minutes in the ring between Horace and Steiner, and this heel ref is all over the place with his counts. A bad heel ref, one might say. Can't even do quick counts right, and slow counts correctly. Nash finally gets a tag. The NWO ref claims he didn't see the tag. At least that's what I think is going on here. But Nash just shoves him out of the way. Gets his 30 seconds of work in for the night. Hall hits an outsider's edge on Horace. Ref, of course, refuses to count. Nash takes care of Steiner to the outside. Powerbombs the ref because he won't count the pin. But Hall was the legal man, according to the ref, so he was in the right. This is all very... This match was strange. Hall is happy. Nash bolts to the back without a celebration. I continue to groan further at everything involving Kevin Nash on this fucking show. Back to Bigelow on the grassy knoll in not Dallas, because they really emphasize grassy knoll here. They're in Tennessee. Anyways, Goldberg fights with Bigelow as security weirdly lets them fight for a bit and then remembers to do their job. I know it's a nitpick, but with all the other shit on the show, kind of got to me. Cat, do not... Nope. Oh, you did. Ugh. Tick, 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 tick. This is kind of weird now because the match at Starrcade is versus Matt Nash, while Goldberg and Bigelow seems to be the thing we should really be paying attention to. It's all so strange. I know I would rather see Bigelow versus Goldberg for the title instead. This begs further question why this match didn't take place at the previous pay-per-view. They couldn't do this like 2 or 3 weeks up to it? Anyways, main event, Bret Hart with his injured groin versus DDP for the US title in a no DQ match. We have seen this shit before. If you remember, DDP was the US champion and he got ripped out in the back. He made his way to the ring, and Bret Hart put him in the sharpshooter, and he passed out for the win. Well, they go to blows for a little bit this time around, and then the Giant saunters down to chokeslam DDP. Giant gives DDP a super chokeslam to the top rope from Bret's request, because one wasn't enough, and then Bret simply puts DDP in the sharpshooter for ref stoppage, again, to win the US title. He gets minutes to celebrate this at the end of the show. Like he just won the world title in the Georgia Dome. A very nothing and dumb NWO type main event. Further perspective, Bret Hart has an actual injured groin. So now he's the new US champion that can't move. WCW is building up a non-title main event with their world champion. Ric Flair's going to face the GM of Nitro. And then those are your top programs. It's all very strange. What a weird show. So yeah. Cattle Prod Town's coming. Let me play my Volter drop since I never get to see him wrestle anymore. And where is my... Oh, there it is. And we can get into the wrestler rankings. Hooray. Alrighty, right fast wrestler rankings, starting with the women. Tam 10, Riho 9, 8 Julia. All comes from that big main event match they had in Stardom. And then the rest shouldn't come as any surprise. Maya Yukihi at 7, Yuki. Hiragi Kurumi at 6. 5 is Akane Fujita. I really liked her singles match against Maya. And then 4-3, Yoshiko Arisa. It's the best possible build you can imagine for in a tag match. And then Penelope Ford and Shida really brought it in the best singles match. It's kind of a theme going with the women. If you have the best singles match, odds are you're going to be 1-2 respectively in the rankings. And then for the men, this was quite difficile due to all the events that were taking place. And I came up with the conclusion of Wardlow at 15, Yamato at 14. They just didn't have... Dragon Gate lacked that big standout match, even though I like those shows overall. Jurassic Express 13, Tanahashi 12, Zack Sabre Jr. at 11, Show at 10, 9 was the Lucha Bros from that excellent 8-man tag. Taichi was my main man in that tag match. I liked his role there. Best Friends at 7, yes, that does include Orange Cassidy. And then I round out the top 6 here with the best singles performances and importance. So Ashino got 6, Jericho got 5, Ishii got 4, 3 was Shingo, 2 was Hiromu. I really liked every role he played. And then 1 was Suwama, who really brought it. So if you want to look at the updated rankings table, head on over to redleafretrocast.blogspot.com. I usually update the site when I get home from work, the same day the day of the podcast comes out. So look forward to that going forward. And I'm really looking forward to all these big pay-per-views and big shows coming up from the wrestling promotions we like watching here at the Red Leaf Retrocast and covering. And again, go check out SOS Wrestling Network. Go check out my retro written reviews at Wrestling News World. And hey, we will see you next time, everybody. Hope you enjoyed.
Oh,